Easy is next on the chopping block, and it seems like Fasco and White, they know where.
Very careful. So 7
Oh my
HP
goodness.
left, and he goes in for the slice.
Now Almighty! And Matrix, at least they need some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now could be under fire. Fasco and White coming through, Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. But Fast DXG Radical now.
SAF, and they don't really have much of a compound here. They have to expend each and every single one of those blue walls. But McRory taking those shots, pops his time turner as well. Beautiful nade down. Monarch gets caught off guard, and that bounce off of the tree was absolute perfection from McRory.
Selamat datang. Carikan kunci. Keluarkan saya dari sini.
Do Easy is next on the chopping block, and it seems like Fasco and White, they know where Do Easy is. Jumbo, oh boy, no, shows his.
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Blacklist International now. Cobra takes Fade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down.
White coming through, Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. But Fasco and White not done yet. Look at that, 11 kills. Bow also this extra point for Matrix. They're gonna be happy with that. AKO Legends gonna be the next one to go down as Ray Miao fights an easy lick shot. But he ran Almighty stuff.
Nade down. Monarch gets caught off guard, and that bounce off of the tree was absolute perfection from McRory.
Apa kabar, Free Fire? Selamat datang.
Survivors, saya perlukan sokongan.
Carikan kunci. Keluarkan saya dari sini.
And my wonderful partner Hauler, welcome to the stream. Thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to see the second half of this league. Obviously, this is season 2. This has been going on for what, 3 weeks already, 6 play days. I almost got those mixed up.
So we're halfway through the league so far, and now the groups have been reshuffled. So whatever we saw before this point, the teams are going to be in completely different groups. And we saw this during last season where the group mix-ups on paper, you would think, what does a group mix-up really do? And
we got to look at it in the sense of the different groups, right? I think they were randomly assigned the first time. Group B had, 3 of the top 5 teams going in. And so we're seeing like one group didn't have any of the top 5 teams. So it's very different in terms of the matchups that you get, right? And so having that shakeup where, the teams are kind of spread out a little bit more even playing field, I mean, we're going to have to see.
And I think also to consider is who is in your group, right? Because that's a team that you're never going to be able to shake off. Who's in your group you're playing inside every. But of course, not to discredit the league stage, they're still playing for money. Here, they can get up to $2,000 if they are able to get first place. But you got to wrestle SAF for that one.
Mm-hmm. And you probably want to save a little bit of strats because at the end of the day, you want to be fighting for a chance at the big 1,000 USD for first place. Second place is 7,000. Third place, 4,000, and so on. And man, I do want to be in the top 3 if I was playing in this one. I'm super hyped to see who can make it.
I'm actually interested to see who's going to pull out some of the crazy calls during that final stage. Have these tricks that they haven't shown yet. And of course, I think that the teams at the top of the leaderboard, they have more freedom to practice and experiment and even keep that in their sleeve. Whereas the teams competing for 10 to 12, they're probably going to have to pull everything out just to make it to top 12.
Mm-hmm. But if we're looking at the point system, this is like everything in Free Fire. First place is going to get your elusive Booyah. That's going to get you 12 points. Second place is going to get you 9 points. A bit of a gap there, 8, 7, 6, and so on. And all the way down to 11th and 12th, where you could technically get a donut. You get 0 points.
Team finishes in 11th and 12th. I forgot who it was, but they managed to get 7 kills before they went down. And then they managed to finish in the middle of the bracket. So you can salvage a terrible game. It's just animation. You only know who is nearby. You don't necessarily know who's coming from the other side of the map when it comes to those last couple circles.
Mm-hmm. And placement is one of those lucky things, right? Where sometimes you get lucked out. Maybe you end up a top 5 or whatever it is. But kills at the end of the day will make sure that you're more consistent. You do have yourself a chance to fight in the big dance.
Absolutely. So I'm hoping these groups are good. I mean, Hula, I was asking you before the broadcast, do you think the groups are going to be as spicy as some of us are expecting them to be?
3 of the top 5 teams in that group. It was just an insane group. But I mean, just going into today's day of the schedule, it's going to be Bermuda and Kalahari swapping back and forth between these 2 maps. And I think we've talked a lot about these 2 maps, and I think that you like
maps, and you really get a feel of what the differences are with the groups. So you've got Bermuda, your fast-paced map. You can see who's going to be moving very quickly within the groups, who's going to be more passive. Whereas Kalahari, I think Kalahari shows more of the patience in the teams, and then we get a glimpse of who's able to hold their
game. It's a definitely different tempo, right? I think I like Bermuda because I like my action aggressive. I just want to get in there. I just want to see, some bloodshed. I just want to see the action. I don't want to wait till the second half of the movie to see what's going on. But if we're looking at the competing teams, this is the shakeup that we talked about. Like looking through this, I'm seeing black
in, but they're just like, oh, we're still B. They haven't really moved. Although I'm gonna be honest, looking at Group B, it seriously looks like an SAF group. I think the only team that can really compete with SAF in this group is Metrics.
If you're looking at these groups, which one do you think point-wise is actually the highest and lowest? Let's just rank them. Just guess.
Okay, wait, what do you mean point-wise?
Yeah, like just the average number of points that teams are scoring. Like we can just talk about strength by looking at just, how many points they're scoring, right? So if you're going to just kind of...
I'm going to have to put my money... Oh, it's a bit tough. I mean, it's a bit tough. A and C are really strong.
Okay.
I think I'd put it a little bit more towards C.
Okay. Actually, funnily enough, Group A had the most amount. They had Umbrella Reborn and Zet Squad. And if we're looking at the standings here, all of those 3 teams kind of on the bottom end. So they're really weighing this Group C down.
I guess it does make sense then. Yeah. All right. Anyways, speaking of the overall standard, so technically these teams can double their points if they play absolutely on point. But I still think there's a lot of room for some of these teams to absolutely change. I mean, if someone in the top 6 just flounders, I suppose, during...
All right, so here are the teams to watch. Supreme Assault Forces, we know that they've been the dominant team thus far. They've been in first place, and they've been sitting comfortably there. PXG has been second place. They're in Group A now, and AKO Legend is going to be your third place team. They're going to be representing Group C, so all 3 groups have been very different. I think that you're going up against different teams regularly is going to really change things up moving forward.
Absolutely. If anything, I'm really cheering for PXG Radicals. I've been loving the way that these guys have been playing recently, and they're just looking so strong.
Played last Sunday, which is a lot of time from today. So consistently, all the teams are going to just take that a little bit of a break, and they need to warm back up again, make sure that they're ready to play again, because every team's going to be excited to play, right? This is the second half. They're going to definitely want to make sure that, hey, first half, maybe we didn't have to just move forward.
Absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to this first matchup as well. So for people just tuning in, we're going to be jumping into groups A versus B very soon. And the map is going to be Bermuda, followed by Kalahari. So I hate asking this question. I also love it at the same time.
Top 5. And PXG. To give you an easy one, the easiest answer is SAF, but yes. I think I'm going to ride the train that you kind of set up in the sense of maybe I'm sabotaging your train by claiming the same team, but PXG Radicals, I like what I saw in day 6. I think they're going to continue that momentum.
They're looking at their groups and they're either thinking like, oh, we got a really hard group. Oh, we actually got a really good group. We're comfortable against these teams. Like, what's everyone feeling? I would love to hear their thoughts. I think that's going to be some questions we're going to have to ask at our next tea time. By the way, for anyone that tea times, Hula, I swear we should bring you into some of these tea times.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I would love to just interview, just to get the insights. You know what I mean? Like,
who would you love to interview?
Sorry, say again?
Who would you love to interview? Like, is there someone that you just want to walk up to them?
Insinuate anything else. He's very good at Free Fire. That's all I'm saying, right? His averages in terms of kills. This guy is on point. Just like, what is he thinking? Like, how he's able to, 200 IQ all these plays, and just hope that Nova clips that, and I hope this doesn't continue, because I'm sure he wants a future in this game.
It's okay. I think he's gonna have a very good future in Free Fire. Considering that the way he's been playing recently, there's without a doubt this guy we're gonna be seeing very, very outstanding. This is the wrong word for it, but it's a good description. They were a very outspoken team when they play. Like, they were the ones dictating the pace. They were making the moves. Everyone was playing around them back then. But it seems like this season it's a little toned down. And I'm not 100% that first place from SAF.
And teams are going to want to do that. They're going to be fired up. They're going to look at this as like a brand new, a clean slate for them, just to kind of start things off again. Make sure that they've got themselves, a better chance, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to score high. You got to get yourself in the grand finals. We're going to get into that one a little bit later. But for
used to describe a team getting no points at all. Beef, we have a lot of things to talk about for this group shuffle. I shed a bit of a tear when I saw Group B, because I think SAF is going to have a buffet during the matches. But what do you think? I want to hear your take on that.
Group B, it's going to be a treat to actually watch. Has 64 kills overall. No one can touch him. No one can actually touch him. The next guy that has the most kills, also teammate, it's going to be, he has 52 kills already to his name. So Group B, definitely like what our lovely host said a while ago.
With the 3 strongest teams in the same group, now all of them are spread around the entire league, right? We have PXG, our Radicals, the second place team in Group A, AKO Legends, the third place team in Group C. But we also kind of went through...
It's very balanced. You already have a lot of things to consider here. You have our top 2. We have PXG Radicals over here. We have Blacklist International. Those 2 teams, I feel like, will definitely battle it out if ever they do get to see each other in Bermuda. But hopefully we get to see a more balanced interaction. I feel like could be the particular kryptonite for Group B, and I really like to see that, because they will definitely not make SAF have a really really good time, just because we have PXG Radicals, we have Blacklist,
the dynamic duo of the team. But I feel like now that I look back at the Group A, something scares me, right? You have PXG Radicals, you have Blacklist International, Wheels, Almighty, Fast QNY, and then you have kind of the kid at the corner of the class Enigmax currently in
against the Giants already over here. You're going up against top 1, top 2, and top 4 already. That is going to be absolutely difficult for them. But you know what? It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Maybe they're going to be a little bit different this time. But, you know, again, Bermuda is definitely going to be
coming into the last day of week 3. But I felt like I need to withdraw that support a bit because Holler has been unhappy with me jinxing Metrics' performances and results. But overall, I feel like situations. Is it because of the gameplay, or is it because of just pure decision making that caused them to lose out early on?
Definitely, it's the decision making, really just picking your gunfights. Because with Metrics, they're at a very difficult spot. We see them drop off so early, but they can win. We've seen them already have 3 booyahs already to their name. So it's really just picking your gunfights and positioning yourself well enough into the final circles where you can maybe see them shine.
Yeah, picking the fights that you have an advantage is important. Brilliant moments, but it feels like it has to change, right? You can't just drop and pull out your guns and be like, guys, let's go. This is why Bloody Head had rounds where they just get absolutely nothing. They are in 12th place, but they're hanging by a thread.
For them to actually just close it out. But you know what? A really great player for me to see in Bloody Heads is actually more. He can actually clutch up a round. I've seen it already before. He can actually get so much already if he's the final person to clutch up and maybe get a booyah. You know what? We're taking a look right now, Saf. And
luckily for them, at least AKO won't be playing in the first 2 maps. Though I feel like SAF, regardless of their results, regardless of what has transpired in the last week games, they have been running into a lot of situations where they start losing out fights. It feels like the other teams are catching up, and it also kind of feels like SAF might be slipped
to do so. So it's not just they're being consistent, yes, but each team has their days, and maybe day 6 wasn't really the time for them. But hopefully today they're going to be they really want to get more booyahs, more kills. They're slowly just inching on and on. But you know what? There's another interesting thing that we're seeing here on the map right now. Wheels is actually going to be right beside right now Saf. That's going to be...
They're trying to relocate themselves to Plantation. That is going to help them avoid Wheels. But speaking about Daemoon, the member of Saf who is kind of like the entry frag indication, suffers a bit of a breakdown every now and then within Saf.
Yeah, and beautiful Saf is that every single member can actually go and clutch up and get a lot of those kills. And like what you said, Daemoon can really get kills are double digits already, while a lot of these teams struggle to even pass like 10 or even 11. So speaking of
and it feels like Do Easy are still suffering from kind of a bit of a failure from season 1, where they had a very shaky league. There are definitely times where we look at Do Easy and there was no doubt in the back of our mind that Do Easy match, and you just never see them again. And right now they're going through the exact phase. The only difference being that they never seem to show us any signs of recovery. 148, 30.
You can be consistent, but if you're consistently bad, that's not going to make you win the competition. So here we go. Finally, a great start here. PXG seems to be like they want to actually start things right. We already know that PXG is going to be a very aggressive team, so for them to actually...
The dot, because Freedom Rumble definitely lost too. Drax tries to get away in the vehicle, but that is going to be set on fire. And PXG Radicals, they completely wipe out Freedom Rumble, a team that fears very less enemies, but PXG
actually getting on top of that hill, and we already see a very strong start from PXG. Really great stuff. But what we're not seeing right now is actually Blacklist International already doing a lot of competition. But you know what? Just as I said that, it seems to me like PXG is going to have another predicament right here, where it seems like they have the advantage in this situation.
Yeah, and the team that they are going up against is Do Easy, a team that has already been struggling up to this point, a team that needs to stay alive. But as I say that, I might have just jinxed it, because Insanity, he is gathering some intel in that UAV, in that truck, and I think Do Easy might have heard that.
Dynamo, Raymill, Insanity, and Barba is absolutely just insane. And with this team, they probably have, what I've seen already from their qualifiers, the best usage of grenades. So never ever give a chance for PXG Radical. If you are Do Easy, you gotta be careful, just because you are on thin ice.
Yeah, and as much as everyone is giving praises to Saf, I feel like PXG Radicals overall might have better team, team synergy. But before we talk more about PXG, FSK are in trouble because Clanks just took out Ali, and that is the third kill for Blacklist International, and it's also the third kill for Clanks. But it seems like they want to go for more. MY wants to get into the circle, they will have to brute force their way to Blacklist International.
Absolutely. This just feels like a track, to be honest, and Blacklist International knows that. They're playing cat and mouse, and right now it just seems to be like Blacklist is going to be fair. But then just like that, we are going to be taking a look now yet again. Monito having 0 kills. They're going to be struggling here. The zone is going to be having a very hard time on them because they need to keep healing up. And yes, it's only going to be that first zone. It's not going to be giving you a lot of damage. But then just like that, we're
from the side of FSK. I mean, Yoon had a good start, but the ending was not there. They were not able to put that full stop, and it was Blacklist International once more coming out on top. A team same as PXG Radicals right now with 4 total kills. FSK, they will have to run away with the tails between their leg, but Cobra is not gonna let that happen. Monito will be the 3rd victim in the hands of Blacklist International, and now Sharp becomes the last survivor of the team. He is pretty much in the clear, but he will have to play that survival game because Blacklist International too much. But we're seeing a congregation of the possibly the best 3 teams right now, excluding SAF, Almighty, Blacklist International, and PXG Radicals, all gathering at peak.
Oh no, this is gonna be terrible if they actually get to go in there. But I think PXG Radicals probably isn't gonna go in for the fight. They're at a very great position. Not that Almighty and we're gonna be able to go in for a gunfight, but it just doesn't seem to be like that. But then Do Easy seem to be like they're actually going in for really good rotations. They didn't go in for the fight against PXG Radicals, which was really good. So right now they're just staying low. They're chilling. They're going to be able to go in there into the outside, the outskirts of the circle right now. Really not engaging for anyone. At this point, it's like, I'm not quite sure. This is probably a good idea. You gotta get some kills already, probably by the next circle.
If they go down this path, they might just run. They actually did fire a couple of shots at Saf, so that's gonna alert Saf where Do Easy is. Tanamo though is gonna get his head shot off by Phoenix. He's gonna be the first one on the ground. PXG Radicals now will have to respond to this aggression from Blacklist International, but they do have a bit of an advantage just because of that compound, which Blacklist International will kind of brute force to and try to take over. And knowing Blacklist International, you're not gonna give PXG Radicals some space. Barbara was able to bring Tanamo back up, but they need a bit more time, and this is where Raymel's nade might come into good use, being thrown in for Oregon and Y, but Barbar is down and Tanamo is out. Blacklist International slowly taking over. Matrix now joins the party as Ray Meow needs to get the heck out of there.
Metrics with the third party, and probably one of the best things that they can do that. As much as they can actually get the situation and really take advantage of it, they might see the very end of the barrel, and it seems to be like they're having a good time. PXG Radicals down 2 people already. That is very unfortunate for them, and really just meeting Blacklist International so early into the game, that is going to be very unfortunate. Argonon
go for that ring around Rosie because Batman, he gets him down, and off screen just now when PXG Radicals ran away, Matrix joins the fight. SCF becomes the 4th party to clash this whole gathering that they were not invited to. So we're seeing a lot of kills on that kill feed, but Pedro is our focus right now as he has been bobbing and weaving around those grenades. His teammates are safe. So at least for Argon and Y, they will live to fight another day, but not Blacklist though, because SAF wheels out in the hands of Do Easy. This might feel like an SAF game at this point.
Yeah, and I think they're the only team that has still 4 people to their name. That is absolutely just crazy. And honestly, we really saw that coming. But another team that's actually doing a really good job. But actually, Do Easy has a 4 stack of their own, already having 4 kills. That is not bad. But at the same time, you need to remember that you're going up a hill. You're going up a hill where PXG Radicals are going to be greeting you, and also Saf is going to be on top of that hill. You'd always want to have high ground.
Early on, they did not engage PXG Radicals, and they were able to clean up the job. So like you mentioned, like you pointed out rightfully, great shot calling from Do Easy, and they reap the rewards. But we see SAF, they're just piling on to the last member of Bloody Hate as Almighty also bites the dust. Do Easy and SAF feels like the last two teams that are going to be fighting in that grand showdown. But before that, Do Easy still has an uphill climb. They need to go up this high ground, and Ipan does.
Having that triple kill is going to be very impressive. They need to really just approach
Oh
this
my
very
goodness!
smartly. Eliminated with a triple kill! What? Do Easy is absolutely cracked! What did we just see here?
And with that, I think they might be able to clean this up. 10 kills to their name. We doubted them from the start. We questioned whether Do Easy can do it, and they do it just that. Argon MY goes down, and Do Easy backs that first booyah. 30-point gap, no more, because they are catching up.
Do Easy with a god nade. Oh my booyah. Do Easy with a well-deserved booyah to really just pop things off here. That was just absolutely crazy. If you asked me who is gonna win this, Do Easy wasn't even gonna be on my list. Okay, probably 5th on the list to actually get the first booyah. But you know what? Bayad Ipan, Xia, Anga, and Ayin is just absolutely crazy for this round, and I'm just trying to recover from that amazing nade here, Husky.
Yeah, and just one nade to end it all. And I think our host would have a lot of thoughts about it, because I don't think Do Easy is also on the list to win the opening round of the mid-league shuffle. So let's welcome them back, Danilee and Holler, because I really want to hear what they have to say about round number 1. I can see Danilee.
Look at Danny's face.
Danny's face is not normal.
No, it's just my face is not normal. Wow, thank you. So before the grenade even happened, I was looking at Do Easy's score and I was thinking, hello, Do Easy, where have you been my whole life? And then the grenade happened and
There it is.
So Do Easy's a team that every play day, they average about 25 points an entire day. Okay, I think they just got their allotment of points in that one game where they're at least minimum 10 kills. I lost track. I don't even know it towards the end, plus the booyah on top of that. And these guys can go home. I think they've done their allotment. They've got all the points that they normally get, and now it's time. That's it.
They finished the ROI, so they can pack up, you know, just to call it a day. But that all only happened because of what B Mommy pointed out mid-game. They dodged PSG Radicals, and that was how they kind of won the game at the very end. Just one small decision, giving Do Easy such a great opening. And I was just saying that Do Easy, you know, they are a hit or miss, but so far in season 2, they have been missing every shot. I guess I have to eat my words again. No, it's not my first rodeo, but I'm starting to not like it. You know, these teams are doing me very dirty.
Which is odd, because normally when you compliment the team and you ride the bandwagon, that you tend to just kind of lower them down in terms of the standings there. But this is one where, you know, I think we've all been consistently like, hey, Do Easy, not a great team right now. They have a lot of growth and they need to kind of just pick it up or whatever. And today's a new day. Apparently, the second half of season 2 is where you needed to be. And Do Easy, they looked like a very strong team, eliminating all the powerhouses.
But I think the question here is this going to be the new Do Easy, right? It could just be a case of Do Easy having a really good game. Maybe Do Easy go back to the usual Do Easy style that we've seen up until this point. But I think it's really going to come down to game 2. Now, I think it was Beef Mommy, you were talking about how the teams, they haven't up until this point really been respecting grenades. I have to ask you in the case of SAF, like, I'm not sure if it was just me, like, did SAF just look like they were completely caught off guard with that grenade? Because they did not move behind that glue wall.
Most definitely. It's like, at this point, you wouldn't really know when a grenade would hit you. And we keep talking about it. PXG Radicals would always use those grenade fights. And for DC to actually use that to their advantage, it only took one to get rid of a SAF, just like that. So the importance of using your utilities at the right moment. And even though they were at a disadvantage of being downhill, it doesn't matter. They just did it to perfection. And I'm glad they were able to pull through with the first booyah.
Yeah. And I think early on, I also had this minor conversation with Bimami during the game where we were talking about SAF and PXG Radicals. SAF being the team still in the first place. Obviously, they are the best team so far, but I feel like PXG Radicals overall might have an edge, specifically because they picked up Ramiel. Season 1, he was in VPH Velocity. Everyone looked at his debut, I think, mid-league, and he was immediately crowned as the Wonder Child. And PXG Radicals picked him up, and now he is kind of like the murderer in Hollow's mind. So I want to get B-Mummy's thought on that, since both teams are from the Philippines. Do you think that it could be true that PXG Radicals overall might have an edge over SAF, or it's just, SAF are just still the better team?
Well, SAF has always been that number 1 team in the Philippines. PXG Radicals wasn't even top 2, probably was in the top 5, but they're a different team now. We've been seeing a lot of great highlights from their end, and what I said a while ago, their usage of the grenades is absolutely crazy. Ramiel and Tanamo really having a lot of those kills. They did win one where I think it was Ramiel who threw 5 grenades. 5 straight grenades to the team, unfortunately, really just winning that booyah. And for us to see Do Easy do the same thing, this is where we're going to see teams hopefully do the same thing.
I don't think we'll see another grenade like that. That was clearly a clear highlight there, with Bayats getting a triple kill on SAF at that pivotal moment, just completely just changing up the game. And it was like in direct counter to what Husky was saying, because Husky was like, oh yeah, SAF are here, this looks like it's their game or whatever, and I think I was completely on board with that, right? Because I thought that SAF was just going to roll over, the other teams are just kind of give it up, but Do Easy at the end of the day, they're like, no, I still got this Kobe grenade, I'm going to throw this one up there and just toss it out, and it was an amazing grenade, just an amazing play.
I think this is the time for me to play the devil's advocate. Yeah, Do Easy got game 1, but can they continue that? So far we haven't seen consistency from Do Easy. I'm not saying that the grand opening was not good enough. I am super impressed, but now I want to see more. They made me hungry. They got me excited for more. Like, they don't deliver that, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed by the end of the day. So Do Easy, they better step up. Now they've shown me something great. Now I want more of that.
I'm kind of hoping we see that as one of our new highlights. You know how before we start the show, we've got all the highlights up until this point of time? I think that has to join our Hall of Fame. Like, best grenade ever. Easily.
So good.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. I feel like I think the MVP here might not be the teams, but the actual observer that stuck to him this whole time, really just giving insight. That was just so amazing. I'm glad we got to cast it. I'm glad everyone got to see it. But yeah, Danny, that is such an amazing moment.
All right, team. So we are going to be jumping onto Kalahari as our next matchup. Now, we all know that this is a vastly different map compared to Bermuda. Bermuda, rather flat, whereas you got Kalahari, lots of vertical surfaces. It's a huge map, and there's not as much cover to play with. Are there any teams that we're really going to have to keep an eye on in terms of their performances on Kalahari?
I think for Kalahari, Blacklist International is going to be playing, so it's kind of their playground. But I feel like after watching the first 3 weeks, I kind of want to change my stance on that. I don't think it is Blacklist International's map anymore. I feel that it is kind of a free-for-all at this point. Now, there's no one dominant team on Kalahari. It's just my thought, because I really think that with how the games have been, I did not see a team that is like extremely good on that map. Only a team that has good control of that high ground, and it could be any team.
So do you think it's more luck-based more than anything else? And like just making sure that you get the right drop, you get the right terrain that you kind of need? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just rotations. I think you can like drop, let's say, Refinery, right? That is like the classic place to hold a high ground. You can drop Refinery, but the high ground in Kalahari is really influenced by the circle. Like, the circle moves away, you gotta drop out from Refinery, and a lot of issues that we saw from season 1 was that there was a team called AB Ligers from the Philippines. They really love Refinery, but when the circle moves away, they all just jump to the death because they have nowhere else to go. We don't see that as often, but it will still come down to just rotations and decision making.
Right. Now we've got the round
Well, if we're
standings.
looking at the round standings here, I mean, Do Easy, we talked about their daily average, which is 25 points. They end up getting 25 in that one match alone. Supreme Assault Forces with an 8-8, kind of splitting that one out. And Blacklist International, no stranger to the top 5, I would say, and scoring out 12 points, even though they only got 3 placement points. But Blacklist International, Beef Mommy, talk to us a little bit about this team and just how aggressive they were.
Oh yeah, they've been going at it, and really, they were the kill leaders for a majority of the matchup. But then, sadly, they just got third party, fourth party, the house down. So that's just really unfortunate for them, because basically they got bit in the butt, and they kind of deserve that just because they weren't really careful at the late game. And with a team like Blacklist International going into Kalahari, definitely is going to be really interesting, because we thought that they were going to be absolutely dominating here. But you know what? It's the best teams. It's the best of the best, and most definitely they're gonna have a hard time. So like what you guys have been saying this whole time, Kalahari is a map that everyone and like what Husky said, AV Ligers was the team to really shine on that. So I feel like this is going to be the fight for Refinery, because if you are going to be having that verticality, you best believe you're going to win a lot of the gunfights.
The two teams have been really liking Refinery, if I remember correctly. I think the first one is Do Easy, the second one is Almighty. So I'm definitely going to be looking at these two teams, because if they don't fight for Refinery, I don't know who else is going to be. I think Wills also loves that area. So we're going to have a pretty interesting clash if these three teams decide to go to that area.
That's true. Now, Hula, I want to ask you, who are you thinking is going to have a good time in Kalahari today? Like, who do you think is going to get the booyah?
I'm still going to ride this Blacklist International train. I think that it's still top team, and they've done consistently well, right? That's the biggest thing, is that, yeah, sometimes they've had some bad games, but I think that every team has had that, right? And so it's just a matter of them just continuing to just keep it consistent and making sure that they get their points. I think that Blacklist International will be calling their names in the later part of the game.
All right, I'm going to put my money onto Freedom Rumble, and I'm going to pass the mic to our casters to take over for game 2 of our first series of the day. Beef Mommy and Husky, take it away and let us know who are you rooting for.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction to us again. But we are going to be heading over right now to Kalahari in the Sandy Dunes, and let's see what is going to happen. Settling, but for me, I feel like I want to root for a team that hasn't been showing up just because of the banger that we had in our first matchup. So I think I want to, because I know they can pop off within the right situation. But how about for you, Husky?
I'm actually looking at Almighty, but I do agree with Wills as well, because I feel like Wills is a team that like I support. Like I will always start the day telling myself that, yeah, Will has this on lockdown. They're gonna win a couple of games, and then halfway through the game I would just change my predictions, because Wills, they don't really show up in the way that I wanted to. Probably expectations misplaced on my part, but I think Almighty would probably have a better chance. The first half wasn't the best for them, and I think the reputation of Almighty, based on the fact that 3 of the members are from X Divinity, there's a lot of image right there, a lot of legacy that these guys have to carry on, and I just really want to see them step up. But Wills, they're gonna start things off on a very good note. They take out the whole of metrics, and I guess your prediction is starting off on a very good note.
Yeah, and here we go. And it's that one team member of Wills that we always just like to look out for, and it's going to be Embelor. If that guy pops off, that is going to be trouble. But they paid a price. They already have 2 people down, and Embelor and Aoki is going to be the only people left here. I feel like there's going to be a reshuffle in their team as well. So I'm interested to see how everyone really gets to play together. And you know what? Freedom Rumble has always been in that middle ground. They haven't really found much light, and especially going into that 9th spot, there's a lot of pressure on them to really perform, because if they perform poorly here in day 7, that's not going to be good for them.
Yeah, definitely not. We've always put Freedom Rumble ahead of their kind of the Malaysian doppelganger, Fast QMY, but Fast QMY, they pulled ahead so fast and so far that they are now in 6th place, and Freedom Rumble, they're left to bite the dust. Enigmax, they're only going to play Kalahari with 3 members, so this is gonna kind of be a default handicap that these guys have to deal with, on top of the fact that they are considered one of the weakest, probably the weakest team in the entire league. So it's not going to get any easier. They are in the vicinity of Bloody Hit, which probably is not too scary as a team, but still, playing with two members is not a good start.
Yeah, definitely. Now, this is going to be very unfortunate to see just because of they really need to rack up all the points. So hopefully they get to play a little bit more smart just because of they are down one person, and having one person down will really be a disadvantage. And going up against Bloody Heads, it's a little bit of a 50-50 situation because they can really do so well or so poorly. Again, we need to see consistency here. And with Bloody Heads, they seem to be like they're having such a hard time with that. EMX, on the other hand, they're having a very hard time with really just getting a lot of these points. So Enigmax, with a really tough spot here to really just bring down the points. They need to basically get a miracle for them to really just rack it up.
And it seems like they're starting it off in a pretty decent manner. Slumber 2, he's gonna get the first kill, I believe, onto Mark. So Bloody Head, they're now down to just 3 guys. So the whole playing field has been leveled. It's 3 versus 3. It can be anyone's game. Command post is where Bloody Head likes to plant themselves as long as they can on Kalahari. It feels like they want to control the entire base, but Enigmax, it seems like they're making the decision to just settle for that one pickoff and kind of pull back a bit, with Slumber being that overwatch for the team.
And that was a good trade. That was a really good thing to do. They don't want to be too aggressive, not too careless. And that's what we like to see from Enigmax. And Bloody Heads, we need to see what kind of the response that they want to do. And it's a good thing. They're not going to be engaging as well. Both of these teams on the passive approach. And Enigmax seem to be like they're just going to run away for their life. Or either that, or they're going to be repositioning themselves to go in for the kill. Not quite sure what they're going to be planning, though, but it's a good thing they're sticking together as a team just because of how well you can actually get picked off. But speaking of, on the right side of the map, you can see Almighty's actually going to be there. I feel like this is going to be another story of the third party yet again.
I wonder if Almighty will stick their nose in. So far, they haven't made that move just yet, and I think if they hear any gunshots, maybe they will consider otherwise. But Enigmax, they have decided to take on Bloody Head, and they definitely want to win this, especially when they're in the last place. They don't really have much to lose. But if you can mess up other teams' chances, then why not go for it? I think EMX, they have that on their mind, and now going in for the push into Bloody Head. And like you said, Bloody Head, they have not been doing the best. They struggle a lot. And this is their chance to prove themselves that maybe they can turn that franchise around. Black doesn't check the corner, but Slumber is here to get that refrag. So at least there's a 1-for-1 trade. But Bloody Head, let's see if they can win this out. Mountains down Slumber and EMX. They're going to be eliminated on the back of just one great play from this member of Bloody Head. Morgana doesn't even die, and Bloody Head will wipe out Enigmax.
You know what? My face right now is basically Saitama, that what you see in face. Why would you go in there all alone without even checking your corners? You're basically just asking for it. They could have even entered there as a whole team, but no. Enigmax just dropped the opportunity of getting that frag and really evening things out, but no. They decided to commit, but the play was just not right.
Yeah, it's a bit of a poor decision from Enigmax that ended in catastrophe. Definitely bit out more than they can chew. But I agree, could have went in there with more than just one guy, and not checking that very corner was their downfall. And with that being said, EMX, they're out of round number 2. Bloody Head lives on after suffering one casualty. Not too bad compared to round number 1. At least they got a couple of kills on the board. But Oregon NY was a team that we didn't get to put much spotlight on. Round 1, they actually, ended in, I believe, 3rd or 4th place. Not really sure about the kills that they got. But either way, they had a pretty good start. And I'm excited to see if they can get more out of this. Freedom Rumble, though, they're kind of on the run away from Council Hall. Barely made it into the circle. Is where they are going to plant their foot down and just anchor themselves for a while.
And you mentioned a while ago, Oregon has been a team that has been struggling, but I like to see the growth that they've been having. And they were, at a time, the bottom team of the pack. So for them to actually go like 3 tiers higher, that is going to be impressive. But they need to do a lot more if they want to break into that top 10. You have Do Easy, Bloodyhead metrics, but with the way that Bloodyhead has been performing, it has been very impressive. So they're definitely going to be racking up all of those points already. Freedom Rumble, on the other hand, ninth spot, we keep saying that. It's because they've been in a little bit of a pickle. They seem to be like they are having a hard time into advancing into certain situations. So with having 2 booyahs to your name, yeah, that's going to be a win, but you need to play smart as well. Even if you don't have a booyah, you need to play for all of your kills. You see Blacklist 2 booyahs already to their name, but they frag out so many times, and they place each other. They place themselves high enough for just to get those placement points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Argon and Y, they only had one day where they, I think it was during week 2 where they had this breakup performance, like 2 booyah, not 2 booyah, but like 2 top 3 finishes. They haven't gotten a single booyah just yet, but that was the only day that Argon and Y really, had any sort of showing. But I definitely share the same sentiment. They moved up 3 tiers. That is pretty good, but they need to do a bit more than that. You look at Argon and Y, 135 points. You compare it to Bloody Head, which is 178. It's a lot of gap to close. But speaking about closing the gap, Do Easy, they're only 18 points away. They've effectively almost half the deficit that they had before the start of the day. So now Do Easy, they definitely need to show us that they can close the gap even more in this game. But before they get to touch Bloody Head, Almighty, they are already at the command post, on the outskirts of command post.
Speaking of closing the gap, we're seeing Bloody Heads right now versus Almighty. Now, this is going to be very difficult for Bloody Head just because you only have 3 members left to your team. Now, but then again, Do Easy is also going to be there as well. Oh no, this is not going to be a type of situation that you want to get yourself into. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Saf is here for payback. Do Easy ruined their chances of a booyah. That was supposed to be the 7th win, but Do Easy just had to spoil that. But for each of these players, they play for their own. Saf wants to play for that constant first placing. Do Easy wants to play for the qualification. If there's any chance for Saf to get revenge, it is now. But Saf, they're pulled back. So Do Easy, so far, still in the clear. At least they don't have to worry about Supreme Assault Force.
Yeah, and it was actually smart for them to actually go and back away from the situation, knowing very well they might not win that. But that's honestly, I'm pretty surprised that Saf didn't really engage. Very unlike them to go in there. And I feel like for the side of Bloody Heads, that was probably one of the best things that could happen to them, because that would have been a really bad spot to be in. Do Easy as well, having that backstab. So again, I feel like that would have been like free kills for the side of Saf just because Do Easy didn't quite know that they were there. But here we go, a very tricky situation right now. But as fast as that, we're gonna be seeing Fast Kill right now going up against Argon, going a lot of those shots, but getting that. Yoon is gonna be getting one person down. Seems to be like he wants to go in for the takedown.
The worst spot for Argon MI to be in, with a freeway in the middle and just open ground in Kalahari. The moment they exit from that building, it's gonna be for Fast Kill at least, it's gonna be shooting ducks shooting fish in a barrel. So it's pretty hard for Argon and Y to do anything. They will have to kind of set up for that. You can say the same for Wheels and Lord. He's down due to the play zone. They're actually pretty far away from the actual circle, whereas Fast Kill and Y, they're gonna take this opportunity to loot up the rest of the area and possibly gatekeep a few more teams if there's any. And they also found themselves a vehicle, so this is very. Considering how round 1 went for them, they're going to be feeling pretty happy with round 2 so far.
Yeah, Fast Kill doing a lot of things right already going into this early game. And now with the UAV on their side as well, they are going to be having a little bit of guidance already going in there, and maybe even going in for an early position into the circle. And that's what we need to see from Fast Kill. We already know that this is a team that has been absolutely been cracked in certain situations. And I think they might go and meet another team as well, Argon. But I'm not quite sure if they're going to be engaging though.
Yeah, PXG Insanity felt like they receive a bit of punishment. It could be from Freedom Rumble. I think most likely from Freedom Rumble. Ray Meow and Insanity, they were both kind of injured. They patched themselves up around Stone Ridge. They're gonna move away. But for Fast Kill and Y, they still are not done just yet. In fact, they want more. And that is how Monito got punished by Ember Lore, as Wheels were able to kind of sneak a couple of shots in and kind of take down that member. And it's going to slow them down for a bit, but PXG Radicals about to amp the ante up because Freedom Rumble have to go through them, and this is the best chance for PXG to get a couple of points.
PXG looks like they're in a really good spot right now, but Barba taking shots already, going down, and Insanity needs to go in there for the pickup as well. Barba is going to be eliminated. Vegeta finally puts the nail in the coffin. They need to make this work out. PXG Radicals are actually quite struggling. Insanity goes down as well. Raymio is going to be the only person that can actually go in there with a certain spot. Tanamo finally gets one as well. They need to go intensively, and it seems like the utilities aren't going to be in their favor. You can see the grenades, usually they have a lot in their favor, but no, at this time, Freedom Rumble though eliminated. What? Oh no, Almighty is actually third partying it.
Yeah, I mean, Tanamo did all the hard work. He won a 1 versus 3, and Almighty just came in here to clean up. But on the other side of the map, it's going to be Saf. Forbis getting a couple of kills for himself. Shark is going to be the victim as Fascio and Y. The numbers start to dwindle down to just 2 survivors. With Argon and Y caught in between of this crossfire, things are not looking good at all. PXG Radicals, they might have escaped thanks to Almighty, but they are also left with 2 survivors. McRory for today into that watchtower doesn't really connect. So far, the rest of Argon and Y just holding hands and hugging each other, sharing their body warmth to survive as long as they can. Saf, they can afford to kind of rotate away. There's bigger fishes in the sea, and it's going to be PXG Radicals being buried by both Almighty and Saf.
Wow, what an amazing opener, and Saf really wants to have vengeance. They have a full squad. They can actually go and do this. Blacklist International, they'll also have a full squad of their own. It seems to be like all of these teams are actually struggling right now to get into position. Argon is going to be eliminated already. Triple kill right now from Ali. Oh, that's going to be very interesting. Jay-Z as well gets that kill, gets rid of Forbid. So one more person down right now from the side of Saf is going to be proving a little bit difficult for them. Blacklist, though, they're going to be chilling here. They are at a very nice spot, but just what we saw in Saf, they might be eliminated just like that. And speaking of, they are going down like flies. One more person. Phoenix is going to be the only guy that can actually save his team.
Yeah, it might be Bloody Head making it happen. ZJ is down, but you still have Mouse left alive for Bloody Head. And Phoenix is gonna try and play the survival game. This place is way too crowded for 7 different squads, and these guys know it. They need to thin out the numbers, but no one wants to give up without a fight. Blacklist International certainly is that team. Cobra and Clive, they both get picked back up, so they still have 3 men throughout all of that chaos. Not so lucky for Wheels though, they're already out as Forbes continues to amp up the pressure. Backstab coming out. Cobra was able to down both. They found that member of Bloody Head, as Bloody Head now down to just, I believe, one last member. McRory gets a nade onto iPads. This is just pure pandemonium in this small congested area. Do easy with 3 guys with Almighty in their crosshairs, but Almighty, they are looking pretty strong.
McRory finally gets the revenge that he wanted, and he eliminates Too Easy with what? A grenade. No, actually, no, he doesn't. He actually eliminates another team. Too Easy is going to be a little bit stronger. But Yetz, on the other hand, was actually able to eliminate Wills with a grenade as well. So a really great utilization right now of all of your grenades, and you just need to stock it up. But it seems to be like they're missing it just a little bit. So right now for Too Easy, they just need to do what they need to do and to just sit back, relax, and let the other teams just take out one another.
This is getting a bit too close for comfort. You know, you can feel your opponents breathing beside you, and Jembao definitely is going to be the first one to pull the trigger onto 4 bits. Too Easy wants to take the shot, but Batman with the grenade launcher is going to take out 2 members from Too Easy. Bayet now is the last man alive. He was the guy to end the Sav's run, but Almighty would do the job because Blacklist International also got caught in crossfire. Phoenix fights Batman and Almighty down to this rank, but they already have 10 kills. They can just try to play the survival game and go for more. The circle's gonna close down to the very end. Almighty dies, and Blacklist International somehow, through all of
thing because 2 members were already going down, Cobra, and he was basically bleeding out, and Phoenix was in that little corner where he had a glue wall protecting him, and there was basically the zone right there. So that little air pocket that he had to be able to be the superhero that he was basically just got them the W.
I feel like sometimes in these kind of final circle where you have like 5-6 teams and 20 different members, whoever gets the booyah is definitely going to feel a big sigh of relief because everything feels like a 50-50, at least to me. It's like a coin flip. Everyone runs out. If you get hit by a stray bullet, then it's too bad for you. But I still cannot get over how Blacklist International managed to survive through all of that because we actually lost sight of them. We were looking at a bias from Do Easy. We were looking at Almighty just slaughtering everyone. And I thought at one point, Almighty, they got this. But somehow Blacklist International pulled through. And I just felt it was an incredible round.
I think it'd be pretty interesting to see who does get first place, considering that we have to take into consideration kill points, right? There were a lot of kills happening in that final circle. But while we wait for that, I kind of want to ask all of you, how are you feeling about these groups now? Because we've already started with 2 games from groups A and B. Is there anything that really stands out? Because so far, I have to say I'm really surprised that SAF, they've been very today, but I also might...
It's the team that has stepped up pretty big over the past 2 rounds. I think the first round wasn't really the best, but second round they showed up with 10 kills towards the very end. They didn't get the booyah, but they had pretty good showing, right? Those were pretty decent numbers. So again, they are also another team that I said, there are a lot of legacy that had to carry forward from the eras of Divinity. They come out and they get 10 kills in second place. At this point, I'm convinced that I have refined my ability to just reverse curse the team. So yes, Almighty, props to them. They really show a lot of growth.
Yeah, and I think Batman is just turned it up, right? I think he had about 7 or so kills. He just whipped out that grenade launcher from his toolkit and he just started destroying everybody here. And if you're looking at it here, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes you don't have to get the booyahs to get the most amount of points. And Almighty scoring 10 kills with 7 from Batman himself. You're going to get top scores here. Blacklist International did get second place, even though they did get the booyah. Supreme Assault Forces. And as poorly as they've been doing, I think they were second place in the last match and the third place in this one. They're still doing something right.
Yeah, I think for Fast Kill, they did pretty decent, 11 points. And then I look at Freedom Rumble, only 2 points so far. They are the second team to get knocked. Starting to see a change in roles. Fast Kill are now playing like the Freedom Rumble we know, and Freedom Rumble, they are slowly kind of lagging behind.
Yeah, it seems like some of the teams need to just kind of pick it up. Like PXG, sorry to cut you off, Danny. PXG is like one of those teams where we do see them in the kill feed. They're getting in the action, but it seems like they're not really able to score points or even in placement or kill. Beef, what do you think?
Yeah, it's just a matter of placing yourselves really well, and then as well, I feel like they're having a really difficult time really just planning things out, especially with the reshuffle. I remember you guys were asking how are Group A and Group B really just interacting with each other, and I feel like this is a more evenly matched group. So again, it's a really nice thing to see that different teams are actually stepping up and getting those booyahs.
And just a reminder to everyone at home, we are going to be giving away some codes for some free goodies, so be sure to stay tuned because once we give those out, they're available until the end of the stream. So everyone can claim it. Make sure you share the code. It's not first come, first serve. Once the code is out, share it to everybody because as soon as the stream ends, that code is gone as well. Okay, it is elusive as it is free. As free things normally are nowadays. It's very hard to find free things.
All right, so we saw Group A, Group B. I think that was a bit of a mix in terms of just the overall. I mean, the top 5 teams are still playing well. I don't think that needs to be anything different. Do Easy kind of stepped it up, but now it's going to be with Group B versus Group C. And in terms of Group C, do you see any differences? Any teams that are going to really pick this one up, Husky?
Yeah, you're gonna hate me for this, but I think Tactical Intex can still do it. Tactical Intex and a 4X-Man Expert. I'm looking at these two teams to really put up a good performance later on.
All right, what about you, Beef?
Well, definitely for X-Men Expert, they've been showing it up in the past few weeks. But you know what? We can't deny AKO Legend. There's a reason why they're in that top 3 spot. So they can definitely go and deliver Group B and C. I want to see what's going to be going down. And SAF being essentially the team that we thought that was going to deliver is not doing so. So a lot of things into consideration. Group C might actually be the kryptonite of Group B.
Well, we will find out in just a moment, but before then, the players are jumping into the lobby. Our next matchup is going to be B versus C, but before then, we need a break, and of course, you need a break as well. So make sure you go to the toilet, grab your snacks, because once we're returning, we're going to jump into our next matchup, Group B versus Group C. See you after this.
Do Easy is next on the chopping block, and it seems like Basket and White, they know where Do Easy is. Jembao, oh boy, no, shows his.
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Blacklist International now. Cobra takes Spade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down onto the ground. Cobra needs to be very careful. So 7 HP left, and he goes in for the slice.
Stop almighty! And Matrix, at least they need some damage, you know, but it might be enough. Matrix now, look at the fire. Fast and White coming through, Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. But Fast and White not done yet. Look at that, 11 kills. Bow also this extra point for Matrix. They're gonna be happy with that. AKO Legend's gonna be the next one to go down as Ray Miao finds an easy leg shot. But he ran. Almighty suffers. Extra casualty, DXG Radicals now.
SAF, and they don't really have much of a compound here. They have to expend each and every single one of those blue walls. But McRory taking those shots, pops his time turner as well. Beautiful nade down. Monarch gets caught off guard, and that bounce off of the tree was absolute perfection from McRory.
Apa kabar, Free Fire? Selamat datang.
Survivors, saya perlukan sokongan.
Carikan kunci. Keluarkan saya dari sini.
And welcome back to the MCP Major Season 2. We've just concluded our first matchup of the day. It was A versus B. And now Group A, they're going to go for a little bit of a break. They can sit back and relax because Group B, they got to keep their engine going. They're going to be going against Group C. Paula, I know you were very excited about this next matchup because it's SAF. They've been playing yet again. They've been a little on the lower end, I guess, in terms of performance. Maybe they set out expectations too high after their fantastic opening for the season. But how do you think they're going to fare versus Group C?
Well, Group C had 2 of the top 5 make it in terms of the reshuffle, right? For X-Men Expert, they were 5th place. AKO Legend, they're the 3rd place team right now. So these are 2 very strong teams. If we're looking at the overall standings here, again, just, you know, tactical index, they were one of the highest scoring teams of day 6, excuse me. They had 43 points. For X-Men Expert, they had 48 points the last time. These are 2 top teams of Group C that you need to be careful of, in addition to, of course, AKO Legend, which we can see right now is going to be in that 3rd place there. Supreme Assault Forces, this is the last 2 matches. You talk a little bit about performance in terms of maybe they weren't so great or whatever, but they still scored, I think, you know, 3rd place, 2nd place in the last 2. So in terms of points, they've managed to finagle their way and getting some sort of points and cushioning that lead, so to speak. So they've been doing quite well in that sense. But if we're looking at the rest of Group C, you got Cannot X Brain, you got Umbrella Reborn, and you got Zeth Squad, right? And if you want to know where those guys are, you got to look from 15th, and below, pretty much 14th, 15th, and 18th, right? This is a group that is and they tend to be a little bit on the weaker side. Not to say that they can't pick it up, especially with the second half of season 2, which is obviously with today's play day of day 7. But yeah. So Danny, what are your thoughts so far?
I mean, for me, I've got my eyes on AKO Legends because, of course, this is their time to shine. Or is this going to be where AKO asserts their dominance and say, okay, we're going to also deny you points because you had a really tough first 2 games. Mm-hmm. So, if anything, I really want to see AKO do well because I think the last week we saw AKO, they were very underwhelming, a bit disappointing as well, because I was pretty impressed with how they played for the first 4 play days. It was just days 5 and 6. It had me worried. I was thinking, wait, is that it? is there not anything more?
Mm-hmm. And I look at it, I mean, it's one of those things where SAF will always be one of the brightest stars, right? No matter what's going on, whatever the other teams do, SAF will still manage to have that shine, and you can't really take that away. They have proven time and time again that, yes, they might have like one bad day, but it's so rare that it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Right? Their consistency is quite high, and then you're seeing them at the top because of this, because they're able to get those points no matter what. So it's like, in the sense of like you're at a party or whatever, it's the hot girl or guy in the room. It might not be for that, party for that person, but they're always there, and they're kind of, okay, maybe I'm going a little too deep with these analogies, but you get my point in the sense that they will shine.
Realistically speaking, I don't get your point because I never went to parties. I was the homebody.
All right, sorry.
It's okay. Well, I guess I know what you did when you were growing up. Anyways, so first map's going to be Bermuda for Group B versus C. Now, I do feel like the first map for Group B in terms of SAF, I feel like they would have had a better time in that game if they didn't just get blown up by one single grenade. I do feel like today we still are going to see SAF show their true colors. It's just, I'm wondering if it's going to be another case of, I wouldn't say it's RNG, I guess, because the first time it was a tactical grenade. But if they see these grenades coming, I feel like SAF would do a lot better. Because I think for a lot of these teams are really just getting caught off guard with grenades in general.
But that's the thing, right? Like, you have to have a highlight level grenade to stop SAF from winning. Right? That's the kind of level of play that you need to do. And SAF, they're so tactical. They're very smart with their positioning that, hey, if they're going to throw that miracle, they get that Kobe shot, then, I mean, that's, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm unlucky that one. But you know what I mean? Like, that's what the level of play that we're talking about. SAF just still managed to get those points. This is a very, very scary team going into this group.
That are basically the mechanic that's really changing things. Or, this is just a theory, is it only working out because teams have started to group up more behind 1 and 2 blue walls?
I think a little bit of both, as weird as this might sound, because of the fact that, like, the teams are playing for the late game. So they're holding off their utility and making sure that they have it for when those glue walls do happen. So I feel like it's a little bit of both. They're kind of preparing themselves. It is definitely becoming part of the meta in that sense. But that said, let's go into Group B versus Group C. This is going to be Bermuda, Beef Mommy, and Husky. Please take it away.
Yes, Group B and Group C about to kick off, and Bimami, you know what they say, Aristotle once told everyone that lightning doesn't strike twice, but apparently he is wrong about it because SAF lost both their games due to explosions, first in the hands of Do Easy and afterwards in the hands of Almighty. And of course, I'm also wrong about it. Aristotle did not say that, but I know it's a quote. I just can't remember who
I knew it. I knew it was almost like thinking in my and that way, hold on. But you know what? A great man once said, I know. But you know what? A wise man once said that you need to go in for the early rotations just so you can actually win the positions. I'm pretty sure that was Abraham Lincoln that actually said that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is as well. You know, like obviously it's not John F. Kennedy because he didn't do it well. But I'm going a bit too off tangent. You know, like I feel I'm more of a historical guy at this point. But Bermuda once more, Group B and C, you know, AKO Legend definitely feels like the team that is in the spotlight. But I want to quickly answer Daniel's inquiry. The trend is going to continue for this game.
Yeah, hopefully the trend is going to be continuing for SAF, and hopefully they get to find the Booyah. But you know what? I do want to play devil's advocate. I don't want them to win at all. I mean, yes, they have been powerful here so far, but other teams have been showing up. And then if they've hit a ceiling that they've been basically doing a lot of things so far, it just means a lot of these teams have been doing their homework. So I'm really impressed to see that they're not dominating the whole game, just because it's not going to be that fun to see. But here we go. Seth is going to be going down one early on. Monarch is going to be going down just as fast as that, and that's going to be really good rival for X-Men. Like what we've been saying, they've been showing up already early on.
Yeah, and for X-Men Expert are the new kids on the block. They came into FFMC and they showed up big time. They took on the top dogs and they were able to put up really good results. And it's just a good wonder how far can they go. For Do Easy, on the other hand, they have had a decent game 1. Game 2 was also pretty darn good. Because if we, look at the most recent scoreboard, Do Easy is just 1 point away from tying up with Bloody Hit in 12th place. So if anything, today it might just be their day.
Yeah, absolutely. And like what you said, they did a phenomenal match number 1. And for Kalahari as well, they placed really high enough. So they're not being bullied this time. It's a different Do Easy. And right now, they're changing up their strategy. They're just going up against the coast, really just going away, really being passive, just weaving and really quite sure what their strategy is going to be going down here. And hopefully they get to have good loot, because so far they've dropped in a dead zone.
Yeah. It seems that Bayet is it seems like he went for a stroll. Not really sure if he knows that Argon MY is nearby. I assume now, because Argon MY didn't make any noise. But thankfully for Do Easy, they are able to finally group up once more as a team and see where they want to rotate towards. This is definitely not an area that has much resources. So look at the inventory. IPAN only has 1 grenade and 2 glue walls, no med kits at all. So Do Easy, they need to relocate themselves to get more of that resources. And so far, they're still in the clear, which is always a good news when you start off the game.
Absolutely. And being in the clear is going to be good here so far, but high ground and one team is going to be right below them. XBR, just like that, might be very difficult as it's just one person there. Like quite literally, it's just one.
Yeah, and Cannot Brain right now, they are in, the last place. They have temporarily place themselves at the bottom of the barrel, but simply because they have not played a single game so far. This is their first game of the day. They definitely can overtake Enigmax by the end of it. Well, hopefully. But statistically, I would say Cannot Brain is kind of in the same category as Enigmax. They almost have the same placement points. Their kill score is also quite similar. So I would say that mechanically, they definitely don't stand too much of a chance against Bloody Hit. But it seems like Bloody Hits themselves are taking the low road.
Be like right now for the side of Zeth might not be the case, as we're seeing one more person. Argon is going to be right above that hill, but it doesn't seem like they are going to be engaging. So that's probably going to be the smarter bet. They need to get better utilities, because what we've been seeing, a lot of these teams don't have a lot of these guns already early on. But here we go. XBR going to be having a really hard time. Metrics not going to be able to actually get it. I mean, Enigmax perhaps to actually go in there. Actually going to be able to go in, really just hide. But the rest of the Enigmax folks really need to go and push in, because it seems to be like a very tricky spot to be in.
Yeah, and Bloody Hit, they are going to launch the assault. The glue wall is going to buy a bit of time, and you can see the response from XBR. All of the members of Cannot Brain are quickly pouring in, and they might be able to catch Bloody Hit off guard, but Morgana somehow still finds Arwen. And now they'll turn their attention to the outskirts, the perimeter of this compound. As Cryfu will down Shiro. 2 members of XBR already on the ground. The flash does connect, but even when blinded, Bloody Hit puts up a good fight. This is going to be, but it's not going to be out. Bloody Hit will just moment as they bring their buddy back up and claim that 3rd point of this skirmish.
Great pickup right then from Maute, and Maute is really going to be one of those people that can actually go and once given the opportunity. It's always going to be Maute or Morgana that can actually go and clutch up. So for that early pickup, that was a great spot to be in, because to lose a player so early on is going to be very dire for them. Argon, seem to be like they're at a very nice spot because they almost actually were able to go into another spot there. But then, oh, Jay's actually going to be able to get a kill. We're not going to be seeing it on the feed, though. Hopefully, we get to observe that real quick because so far, we've only been seeing a lot of traveling from a lot of these teams.
Will be the first team to get knocked out and bloody hit backs 4 points. Meanwhile, Oregon and Y is still pretty much safe at Pochinok. They have been here since the beginning. They've been able to dodge, I believe, do easy early on. So things are looking pretty good.
Yeah, looking good for a lot of these teams already. And I'm actually pretty surprised that we're not seeing a lot of engagements early on. In the beta, you get to see really fast and aggressive pushes, but I guess that's not going to be the case. And I feel like we've been seeing a lot of really passive plays from a lot of the teams that we've been spectating here so far. Argon, Do Easy, Bloody Heads, always just going in there for the passive approach. And I'm pretty surprised because you get to see a lot of the engagements early on. So it's no surprise that there's still 11 teams and 40 people still left here, really just fighting to see where they can place themselves really well.
And so far, I think if we are looking for a more aggressive team, definitely the attention is going to have on AKO Legends and perhaps Freedom Rumble. But it's a while before they get into the circle. For SAF, they're right smack in the middle, surrounded by Metrics, Forestman Expert, and Oregon and Y. You have ITX kind of on the northwestern side. SAF, they have a lot on their plate. But knowing them, they probably would lay low and just wait for a team to take them on. Though I'm not sure how safe SAF is going to be despite being in the center.
Absolutely, and if it were going to be another day, maybe SAF can actually take on all of these teams all by themselves. But with how the day is actually going, they've been struggling to really just win those gunfights. So I'm not quite sure if it's going to be the best spot to be in. And yes, you're going to be at the very center of the circle, and early on, you're going to be in a great position. But they shouldn't be a little bit too open, just because you are going to be surrounded by 3 teams already. I mean, yes, we see a lot of these teams really just perform really well, but with SAF, they need to learn from the mistakes that they had 2 rounds ago and to really just not engage in the fact that they might lose all of those gunfights. But then a really great team as well that we've been seeing perform here so far, which is honestly kind of impressive. Umbrella Reborn, they're at the 16th spot. No booyahs here so far, but seem to be like they're at a really good spot to really just gather all of those kills, especially IPANs with that really big 1K. Hopefully they get to really just hold on to the very end though.
Yeah, that definitely, it would be great for Umbrella Reborn to put some numbers on the board for sure. UMB, this is their first game. I would say, funny thing about MCP Major for the season is that when we did FFMC, Clock Tower is one of the hot spot. It's like a tourist attraction for all the teams. But so far, not much teams have been liking Clock Tower in MCP Season 2. Maybe it's an adjustment from these teams. Perhaps it's just preferences. But to see Umbrella Reborn taking over that area, it gives me a boost of confidence because Clock Tower, I feel like, is one of the few places on the map that has a lot of playmaking potential. And it just feels like a safe zone in itself as long as it's within a circle. They have Freedom Rumble nearby, but even a team like Freedom Rumble will have to be really strategic when approaching this particular place.
You're absolutely right. Tactical Index, that was a really good move for them to actually move into the clock tower. And why? It's because you are at a slope where you have so much sights on a lot of places already. Not only that, you have this cover that we were seeing Zapnu is going to be right at. So you won't get any gunfight from up top in that hill. And you're also going to be getting sights from a lot of basically south, east, and west already. So that's a really good reason why a lot of folks actually go and drop into the clock tower. So hopefully we get to see the circle going in there, but we are going to be taking a look right now at Siux, just really just surveying around the area. And Do Easy seems to be like, if they push in up just a little bit too much, it might be a little bit too much for them to handle.
And Do Easy, if they can pull this off, you better be sure they will 100% be able to take over Bloody Hit in that that leaderboard. Like they're not gonna go for that push just yet. It's pretty risky regardless when you want to go on to the high ground. And they also have a compound to work with. But this means that Tactical Intex by default will just have a better area.
The push is already going to be ensuing. I'm not quite sure if I actually like this from the side of Do Easy, just because of how much of a hard thing it is to actually go and push up. I'm quite surprised that Tactical Index actually went outside of the building. Not quite sure why they did that vantage point, but maybe it's because they want to push into the... Maybe that's why, but if they really want to go and push, they need to do it now. But it seems to be like they're actually going into the opposite end of the map, which is going to be great for them. Now, Do Easy is going to be having a hard time, though. They might get gate kept, especially knowing very well that Tactical Index is going to be right there to greet them.
And Umbrella Reborn will have the privilege to greet Freedom Rumble because FRU, they just got to this area, but this is a part of the town where Umbrella Reborn just have the default advantage. So many angles to play around. iPads on one, on the other. Every single one of these members from UMB felt like snipers, hiding behind a cover and just waiting for FRU to show their heads. As you can see, Drax is going to get into that vehicle and immediately be greeted by a couple of shots from iPads. So Freedom Rumble they are known for a team that likes to siege compounds, and they do it pretty well. But when UMB has all the information, you have to have a contingency plan. And I guess the plan for FRU is just to go from that underground tunnel to pass UMB and see where else they can go. And it's going to be straight into that safe zone.
Straight into the safe zone is what they need to do, just because it's gonna start to hurt already. We are going into the 4th zone already, just like that. And we can see here, everyone's just scrambling. AKO seem to be like they're gonna be greeted by a full stack. That is something that you don't want to actually go in there. They're just gonna be slowly moving past right now, really just being sandwiched by 2 squads already. AKO seem to be like they're having down. Rox and also is going to be the only people left for their team, so not quite sure how they're going to be able to actually go and handle that. They need to play passively. But then, speaking of not playing passively, you know what? I'm pretty impressed with what I'm seeing right now from Umbrella, just because we don't really get to see them on the aggression as per usual, but it seems like they want to have a different approach. So Umbrella Reborn really is making their presence known.
Yeah, but Loser is closing in, and all of these teams are in a world of hurt. Forex-Man Expert will be out as Sav continues their rampage. Forbis, the only guy down, but they were able to bring him back up. Damon will try to loot up as much as he can. Sav so far with 4 kills in the back, as Russell still puts up a couple of numbers on the board despite AKO Legends down to just 2 members. So Sav finally makes it into the clear. They lift the fight another day, but Russell, with that exchange early on, will also trade his life in return, leaving Na to be the sole survivor to carry the torch for AKO.
Their had also doing a very hard time. Jembal going to be the only person left for his team to actually make a difference. Bias is out. Tactical Intex also out already. One by one, all of these teams are finally going down. Jembal, though, big kills, not going down without a fight.
Yeah, but he is under fire from SAF. You know, SAF, they want that payback. Do Easy, but Bayat was the one that cost them that round number 1, but it's gonna be the entirety of Do Easy that pays for their sins. Forbes is not gonna get rushed because Metrics again as the third party. Do Easy is out. SAF, they don't even have time to recover, and they already have to take on a separate team. Metrics needs to use this opportunity to their fullest because they might wipe out SAF as the blue zone closes in. Everyone is starting to feel the pain. This is going to hurt a lot. It's circle number 4, and Let's Go is gonna be on the run. Forbes says no chance, but Glory goes down, and it's gonna be Metrics that takes out the rest of SAF. Once more, they meet an untimely end in the hands of a third party, and once more, SAF will not be able to close out the round.
This is what I keep telling you guys. It's like a different SAF altogether. Yeah, they haven't been having their rhythm lately, and that early exit is just so surprising. They're just going to be going down at 7th place. So with SAF not having their mojo down, it seemed to be like Group C is actually just showing up. We have Zeth, we have Metrics, we also have Argon, we have Bloody Heads, and also Freedom Rumble. So Group B seemed to be like they're actually also showing up. So a lot of these squads already going in there. It seems like Group B as well is actually having a really great time. I think there's only 1 squad from Group C that's still alive.
And I started the broadcast saying that this feels like a buffet for SAF. You know, everyone in Group B felt like easy pickings, but obviously I got slapped in the face because SAF, they got knocked out pretty early on, and all the survivors are from Group B. You know, it's not a buffet for SAF, it's a buffet for everyone else. Freedom Rumble with 3 men, they're just gonna drive straight into Orgon, and why just look at all those things, they're bouncing through. This is like playing dodgeball as Orange able to avoid all of those utilities. He's going in for the rush with the double vectors and a couple of glue walls. He's gonna pay for it. X2R also goes down. This is just a very chaotic trade inside the dome of the time turner, but Freedom Rumble will not stand. And guess what? It's Argon and Y putting on a show, and they put that first booyah on the board.
This shuffle just absolutely changed the name of the game, and just like the other rounds, I did not expect Argon to have a booyah, but you know what? That's what makes it so interesting. We got me, we got Pedro, we got Sparks, we got Afix. They went in there inside the circle really well for them to actually go and defend it, and I really like seeing teams who are struggling just absolutely pull up.
And once more is a case where we set up a storyline about a team not, needing to do something, and Argon and Y not having the first booyah. I kind of feel like production is leaking out audio to these teams because they just show up at the exact same moment. Argon and Y bags their first booyah off the league stage. We're gonna bring back both Hollow and Dana Lee because I'm pretty sure no one expected this ending, and I just want to hear what they have to say about this. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks, Oski. I'm just really happy that we're starting to see some new names getting booyahs. Not new, but different names. Like, out with the old, okay? We don't care about the teams at the top of the bracket. We want to get some of those points towards the lower end of the bracket. This is actually going to be really exciting because some teams are going to be making a really big climb today.
Argon, Malaysia. We have not really talked much about them since maybe day 2 of the league. This is their first booyah. I don't think anyone really expected that one. And I'm sick of talking about SAF. But the thing is that you kind of bring up the point of how SAF are, they got eliminated early or whatever, but they still got 7 kills, right? That's the consistency that we're talking about. The mechanical skills of being able to get points other ways and placements, which can be a little random. And if we're going to look at the Argon one, I think that it was a little lucky for them, and it was random for them to just get in there. But, I mean, this is how SAF has been able to do it. They still managed to get, I think, 11 points, even with four placements points. So they're playing it smart, but it's very interesting to see this shakeup and seeing new teams at the top. And this is the Bloody Head ones. This is a pretty nice little fight like here. Do you remember this one? Husky.
Yeah, they completely just overran. I believe it was for what team was that? Was it Zev Squad? I think it was, right? They completely overran them from the very beginning. No, it was Cannot Brain. It was Cannot Brain. Yeah, it was XBR. But it is just quickly on the point of SAF. They have. If you look at the placement points and their kill score is 185 placement points and 180 kill score. So only 5 points separates those two categories. It's just consistency at its finest. You knock them out early and they somehow still get a lead. But this round overall, I would say Argon and Y, they definitely got a bit lucky with the circle. But it was also them being able to show up towards the very end. I honestly thought that this might be just another round for one of the Apex Predators. Freedom Rumble, they were in there. SAF were there at one point, but Argon and Y, they were not really on my list.
Beef, I wanted to ask you, since we've got a taste of all the teams now playing together, how are you feeling about groups B and C? Do you feel like there's a obvious power dynamic change?
I'm feeling really good about what's happening here for Group B, especially because the last time with Group A and Group B, they're a little bit more evenly spread out. But right now for Group B and Group C, we were expecting a lot of teams in Group C, AKO Legend, for X-Men Expert, but they did not show up at all. And so Group B, at that final circle, that was only like 4 squads left. Only one was actually Group C, and that was Zeth. Zeth Squad actually impressed me just because they weren't really doing a good job here so far. So there's a little bit of a disconnect here. There's a little bit of an imbalance just because of Group B. I feel like they've been having a lot more confidence going into that first 2 matchups. So I really like what I'm seeing here, but C needs to step it up.
Mm-hmm. And if we're looking at Group B, I mean, just to kind of reiterate that point, Bloody Head, they had 6 kills, Freedom Rumble had 6 as well. Metrics had 4. Supreme Assault Forces had 7 kills. Like, all of the kills are pretty much from Group B, right? So I think that just going into this last match where Group B is going to be playing, and you're going to see a little bit of a difference in terms of just how things are moving up, like how the kills are going to be able to be spread out even from Group A and Group C, which we're going to see later today. But I think that right now we're seeing that the Stone Cold Killers are in Group B. This is a very scary group. They do need to be careful about just moving forward.
And this is also one of the games where if Do Easy have a good finisher, they would have temporarily qualified in the top 12. But it ended with Do Easy not really doing too well. They were shut down by SAF. I think Freedom Rumble also stuck their foot in. Metrics being the biggest party pooper in that situation, eliminating SAF afterwards. So Do Easy, the road is still pretty long for them.
I think I have to eat my words now because I started the broadcast saying like, okay, which of the groups looks like the weakest, and I immediately pointed my finger at Group B because I saw SAF and then I saw the rest of the competition and I was thinking, okay, this is gonna be a breeze. No, I think I jumped into some kind of tornado and I didn't realize that until I'm in the heart of it. Oh well. I mean, we're enjoying ourselves. We're starting to see some teams really start to shine. And of course, it doesn't end there because we have some boxes to give away to all of our wonderful viewers. At the bottom of the screen, you can see we have a code. Okay, make sure you redeem that code for a free gift from us to you. And this code does expire at the end of the broadcast. So if you have any friends that aren't quite here or maybe they're busy, just pass them a code and tell them to claim it now because if they do it later, it might be too late.
All right, so we're going to be going into the last game that's going to be coming up next. But just any thoughts for B versus C? Beef Mommy, any sort of team that you kind of need to call out, make sure that they pick it up, some sort of, you know what I mean, like some last minute coaching from Beef Mommy. Go.
I'm ready for this question, and I had a feeling that you were actually going to be asking me that. Needs to come up with the points. They have been a little bit disappointing in the last 3 rounds, especially in the last one where they were essentially eliminated in the 7th round, but then they did get a lot of points already to place themselves into that 5th. So you're seeing a lot of appointment for the side of staff, but you know what? I like to see it. What I said a while ago, I like to see the Apex Predator sort of go down just because we get to see a lot more other teams really come up with all those points and really just turn things around. Argon finally having their first booyah ever in this tournament is something that we like to see. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and if we're looking at that spread, look at that. It's 4 different teams with 7 kills apiece. SAF still managed to get top 5 even with that early exit out. But Metrics, I think that's the sneaky one. We didn't really talk too much about Metrics here, but considering that they got 8 placement points, 4 kills, Metrics, what did you see that they did well, Husky?
Metrics is a team that is very opportunistic. I think we witnessed them third-partying, four-partying a lot of fights pretty frequently. And sure, they might not have the best finishes. Now they're currently placed just in 12th place, being bumped up ability hit. But they are willing to take those chances, and I think it's something that a lot of teams don't do as much as we've wanted to see them do. Metrics is a team that's consistent. They see a chance, they go in, and if they get wiped out, then it's just unlucky. But I think they're getting better and better at recognizing these openings, right? Where even the best teams, if they come up from a long fight, they're not gonna have time to recover, and that battle of attrition is always going to be beneficial to a team that intervenes, and I think Metrics is that team.
Actually, I want to put a spotlight onto AKO because they've started off the day with 4 points. Is there something we should be worried about with AKO? Because we also noticed that AKO didn't do too well last week either.
Yes and no, I guess. Well, currently, any Blacklist International have completely taken over AKO. They had 3 amazing games. This is their last game. AKO this is just the 2nd game. I feel like they definitely have a chance. They had to play with like 2 members very early on in that last round, so it definitely was a struggle for them. But we'll see. I have faith in them.
All right, so very quickly. Yep. Who are we putting our money on? Horla, go.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. I don't think Argon Malaysia is going to be able to do that again. I want to say Tactical Intex, but I feel like Husky's going to say something as well, and he's going to just curse that team. But I feel like I feel like Tactical Intex is going to have a better showing this one. Maybe not the booyah, but they're going to get some points.
All right, very quickly, I'm going to go bloody head. Husky.
Oh my goodness. Metrics.
Beef Mommy, go.
Yeah, 4 X-Men expert, just cuz.
All right, game is started. I'm going to throw it over to our casters right now. Let's go, Kalahari.
Oh, Kalahari is going to be the name of the game, and already a very amazing start for the side of Zeth, really just eliminating so much already. And this is what we keep saying a while ago, right? It's like Kalahari is usually a slow-paced game, but no, it seems like they really want to get those kills. Monarch gets a 1, actually just gets only the takedown, but then gets taken down as well. Only one person, Blade, the only man left for his team to make a difference.
I'm surprised that Type 64 actually tried to help his team. I mean, he's a man. He's definitely a good brother in arms, but in that situation, it kind of is a no-go zone. You know, you don't have the resources, and I don't think that's where you should go. I mean, Blade's trying. Okay, Blade gets 2 down. He's able to clean up Grizzly, so maybe it's not too bad for Seth. But can Blade get more? DJ does have that flashbang. It's gonna blind Blade temporarily, but he knows where Zay is. He's behind that little box, and I think Blade knows it. In fact, that's already 3 kills for Zeph. It's a 1 versus 1, and Blade has a huge health pool advantage. It's just a matter of time before he goes to execute. He has that 1 glue wall which already propped up. He's gonna give it a bit of cover. Now he's gonna try and go for the swing, but he's going the long way, and it's gonna take a while before the fight ends. But it feels like Blade might have just turned the whole franchise around.
Yeah, and that's a really great start already. But speaking of, this is where I put my money on. But oh, just like that, they already get eliminated. Umbrella seems to be like they already had a strong start, but doesn't really seem to be like it's gonna be the case for X-Men Expert. I put my money on them just because, with no basis whatsoever, but just it's the first team I actually saw. But you know what? I'm not gonna make it into a caster curse, and hopefully they get to actually get all of those points. They're in a very good spot though. Mammoth is going to be a place where you're going to be having a lot of those sites, and with that high ground, it's going to be very impressive. There's not going to be a team though that's going to be near them, so that's going to be good. They're just buffing all of the materials that they need to get, but the thing that they need to really just get is definitely the grenades, just because of how much we've been seeing the usage of that here so far.
And you know, for X-Men Expert, they heard the noise and they immediately checked it out, and they came in just at the right time. They wipe out Umbrella Reborn, and they might be able to find Zeph's, the last member of Zeph's squad. Some things don't change, and I think Umbrella Reborn and Zeph's squad are 2 really good examples when they were placed in the same group for the first 3 weeks in Group A. The bottom feeders kept hot dropping into each other. They kept going for these early fights, and it's good to see that some things don't change. But for Umbrella Reborn and Zeph's squad, the fact that they both went out early on, it feels pretty bad.
Yeah, and if you are going to be considering where you want to place yourself early on into this matchup, for X-Men Expert has the opportunity to actually go in there, especially because no one is going to be near them. Yeah, the danger zone is going to be closing in so slowly, but take a look at this. AKO, a team that has been struggling here so far, but granted, maybe Bermuda is just not their map today. Maybe they're going to be pulling up here in Kalahari, but they have pressure on their shoulders, because being that top 3, that's not going to be that easy, just because you have other people standing right behind you in line ready to just take your spot. And who's it going to be? Fast Kill MY is definitely going to be one more person, and guess who else is going to be in that 6th spot? It's going to be 4X. So a pop off here from the side of those 2 teams. AKO, that's not going to be a really comfortable spot to be in.
Yeah, one more bad round for AKO and one more good round for either Fast QMY or 4X-Men Expert. AKO is going to start taking a dive down the rankings. So they definitely need to buckle up. But we also saw Do Easy taking control of Refinery, and the rest of the frontrunners, they're actually all on the outskirts, right? I think Saf is kind of on the southeastern side of the map. Freedom Rumble is like northwest. So kind of taking a very safe approach. I think Saf, they realized that they probably need a change. The last round they were in the center. It didn't end the best for them, but they also got a high amount of kills. Perhaps playing from outside in, it's going to give them a bit more of a tactical advantage, just so you won't have teams like Metrics coming in and spoiling the fun after you just got a couple of kills.
Absolutely. And it's that third party that we always get to see, or maybe even the party that Holler was really just talking about a while ago. And speaking of, Holler with his analogies is gonna be definitely one of the highlights. The murderers, the parties, the boys and the girls, and the romance. And speaking of a romance, we're not gonna be seeing a romantic gesture here from the side of Do Easy, just because of how much pressure they're actually applying here for Bloody Heads. Bloody Head is going to be in a very tricky spot because you already know that Do Easy knows where you are, so they need to play it smart here, and they're going to be at a really nice spot just because they do have the advantage of that height and really get to see it. It's all about that sniper gameplay right now from the side of Do Easy.
And this is where, if you take control of Refinery, you have to make use of that high ground advantage. As long as the circle still has Refinery within it, the team will have a chance. But it kind of feels slightly weird when teams on Refinery, as what we see Do Easy do right now, just really safe. And I'm not sure if that's the best approach, but if it keeps them alive, I guess it's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it already in matchup number 1 where they're playing a little bit passively, so it's going to be the same case here. Really just picking your fights, but I think in that situation, they probably would have won that, and the fact that they didn't, that was basically just lost points for them, and hopefully they do get to last at the very end, like what's been happening in the past few rounds that they've actually been playing. So another team that has been really just struggling here, XBR, they had a very early exit a while ago, and that's basically going to be very hard for them. Cannot always the team that's going to be going away early, but Zeth and Umbrella are going to be those teams. So thankfully for them, they're going to be getting and racking up all of those points already. It's going to be very slow here, a very slow-paced game. Really fortunate to see that there's still a lot of teams really just alive going in there. I don't know what is going to happen here just because of how spread out all of these teams are. It seems like the third partying might just ensue right here. I like what I'm seeing here. 4 X-Men seem to be like they're going to be in the middle. And really, no, they're actually not going to be in the middle. That's going to be AKO.
Yeah, and Do Easy, they might have regretted the decision to move away from Refinery, because I believe AKO took over for a while, but they took the zip line off, and now they are venturing slightly farther to the northeastern side and run straight into Bloody Head. Morgana is going to be the first one to get shot, as Taken is relentless with his bullets. Bloody Head now finding themselves in a predicament where they're trapped, but because they just rotated out of command post, you know, one of their favorite places to land in Kalahari, now they realize that they can't really go that far. The question is, do they know where XBR is? Because Shiro is posing as that intel gatherer. He is right smack in the middle. He hears the gunshot from AKO. He knows that Bloody Head is there, but does Bloody Head know about XBR's existence?
Yeah, and XBR is going to be in that unique spot where if they stay there and just engage, they might actually win that, but Blood's probably going to be a problem for them as well. So Do Easy still right chilling on top of them, and AKO seem to be like they're quite in a pickle. And this is what you were saying a while ago, right? If you go in there in the circle really early on without having a really great position, because we can see it's gonna be very hard, especially that there's one team on top of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that AKO moved away from Refinery so early on after Do Easy abandoned it, just because of the circle, right? It actually, I felt like it benefited whoever is in Refinery, at least for this phase. And then AKO moves away, they move to the low ground, Do Easy casually waltz in and overtakes not just Refinery, but also the perimeter of that area. Now they get low ground control. They also get that high ground vision. They Do Easy has kind of put themselves back in a very good spot. They have, at least a minute or a minute and a half to capitalize on that advantage. But if the circle continues to have Refinery within its range, then I think Do Easy is going to be pretty happy about that. Still 10 teams left alive, and all of these teams have, their full 4-man stack.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing to see. It just seems to be like, at the very end, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath, especially if it's going to be in Refinery. And the reason why we keep saying Refinery is because it's probably one of the best spots to actually go and nail if you do get to actually just hold down that particular spot. You can is in that really weird spot where you have another team. 4 X-Men is going to be right there. Refinery is going to be right behind them. So I feel like SAF really wants to make that push going to Refinery, but they have to worry about 4 X-Men. So that's going to be a good thing for them, though.
Yeah, they did down 2 members from the side of 4X-Men Expert, but McGrory also takes a fall for now. Let's go. We'll be able to pick him back up. 2 layers of glue wall, just sufficient to give SAF the cover that they need. McGrory will spend some time healing back up, but 4X-Men Expert, they don't want to give SAF that space. That has always been the motto when going up against aggressive teams. You don't want to give them space to recover, and Damon is going to put that entry fragger skills to good use. Finally taking down the first member from the side of 4X-Men Expert, but Let's Go gets clipped by Nate on the way to his destination, so McGrory will have to make a piss off to bring him back up. 4X-Men Expert completely forced out of the cover in command post. They're now in the open with Damon being that relentless predator, hunting for Spade, placing down layers and layers of glue wall to give distance. And look at all those nades and flashbangs. Good utility combination of SAF, but they're not getting anything done just yet. Spade finally down, courtesy of McGrory, and SAF might have just found that opening.
The opening doesn't quite come through though. As you can see here, Zeth is going to be their last map to play today.
Yeah, and it's at the same time, Freedom Rumble goes in for a demonstration of how to push the compound with metrics. The member stuck behind the glue wall, and here comes the white peak, but Cos responds in perfect fashion, downing one time. Reno P does still get the kill onto Vegeta, so metrics, they're not going down without a fight. They want to cripple Freedom Rumble as much as possible. Tactical Intex, on the other hand, knows that all of this is happening. Metric is a team that takes opportunities, and Shuffy actually blows himself up. Drax will finish the job for him by lobbing a nade himself, as Freedom Rumble able to capitalize on that small mistake and perhaps just take down Metrics. ITX, they're not gonna get themselves involved. They will make a run for it, but they are getting shot by Cannot Brain.
Really great call for them to actually fall back, but then they're gonna have to pay for it just because one more squad is going to be right on the far left. They're gonna be sandwiched really quick here if they don't really get to find some cover. And not only that, they're probably going to be one of the farthest squads to actually go in there for the push. Only a few squads left in the mix, and it's gonna be very important for them to actually go in there. 10 squads actually. You know what? I'm just joking. It's still 10 squads. For a second there, I actually thought there was only 6 squads left, but you know what? That's not going to be the case. Like you can see here, there's a lot of gunfight ensuing already as people are going to be closing into the circle just like that, dropping one by one. Saf seems to be like they're at a very tricky spot though. That is not a good thing to actually go into. Argon on the other hand is going to be in a very great spot, really having that high ground. Saf already going down slowly, but Sparks as well for the side of Argon is going to be needing that help.
Yeah, and me from Argon and Y just making the life of the members from SAF, from SAF so much harder. SAF thought that they were safe in a trench, but the trench is pretty exposed on the side, and this watchtower might just be their undoing. But you can see, you know, with 7 teams left, too many cooks in the kitchen spoiled the broth, and too many teams in a circle just doesn't cut it. Argon and Y somehow still sticking their foot down and making sure that this watchtower is gonna be that last bastion, as Cannot Brain somehow makes it close to that circle, but now they have a Titan to go through. It's gonna be in the form of AKO Legend. If they look elsewhere,
spot to go and defend. XB are the only one person left. Shiro is going to be the only person left that can actually and maybe even place points for his team, but as he's going to be taking some shots, that's not going to be easy. Saf, on the other hand, though, 1 down. That's not going to be easy as they try to go in there. AKO at a very prime spot. Cannot Brain finally gets eliminated as the 6th spot. Do Easy eliminated as well. The new kill leader, AKO. Solid squad right now. The fact that they actually go in there, they went in for the early rotation going into this building. That is probably one of the best things that they can actually do. New kill leader yet again, AKO, but then just like that, again, is going to be going down. Quad kill already for Dekos though, so it's going to be a very interesting push. Bloodyhead eliminated as well. Only 2 teams left here in the mix. Saf versus AKO, our number 1 and top 4 seed, really just battle things out.
And SAF is 2 against 4. This is not going to be easy. They need utilities. They have 1 grenade on the side of McGrory, and AKO feels like they want to go in for the push. Taken with his own nade. Not going to connect just yet, but that blue zone is forcing SAF to go in for the push. Taken is the first one to go down. Everyone needs to head for the center. McGrory dies to the blue zone, and it's just not sufficient for SAF to pull through. AKO just with sheer number and a bit of force. They take that booyah for the day. And maybe round number 1 was just a warm-up because AKO Legends, they are back online.
Yeah, definitely back in the game. AKO Legends right now with Xphonics, X Taken, Rosoxnga, and Dekos yet again. They were pulling up here in this particular map in Kalahari, and that's what we were saying. It's like in Bermuda they were struggling, yes, but maybe it was just a case of that one round mishap. So that doesn't seem to be like it's gonna be happening now, and finally getting a booyah for them. That is definitely gonna be racking up all of those points for AKO. Definitely a very strong end right now, especially that Group B is gonna be saying bye-bye. And you know what, Husky? SAF just can't take a break right now.
They can't, two games in a row they made it to top 2. In round 2 I think they were top 3, top 4. Their worst performance was up. SAF, they should definitely be proud of themselves. Booyah is not everything. It's all about that consistency, and it's the motto of Supreme Assault Forces all along. But for AKO, they can rejoice at least for now, because that actually puts them back in that top 3, and I'm pretty sure our host will be happy with that as well. Let's bring back Holler and Daniel Lee, and let's see what they have to say about AKO Legends.
I'm just glad to see AKO actually remind us that they are a top contender. It's not a team that miraculously got up there from some kind of miracle. It's a team that, if you give them the right circumstances, that they do perform. So I'm glad that they were able to at least grab the booyah. I was a little bit worried because at first I was thinking, is it going to be SAF? Are they going to deny these points to AKO? But it ends up being the other way around. And I think SAF, they won't be disappointed after their performance today. They have they have such a big lead. I think they can have a couple days where it's not an SAF day. maybe more than a few days, but I think SAF, they're probably just going to shrug it off. And as they explained to us during the last tea time, they're going to analyze their mistakes and they're going to improve for next time.
So I lost track of SAF's kills throughout the day. I think it was close to 23, 25. Their average is about 28. So having an off day, yeah, they had a little bit of an off day. In terms of placements, obviously we talked about that being a bit lucky. So SAF, just no booyahs. Unfortunately, they kind of ran into the heavyweight of AKO there. AKO Legend really turned it up. They needed that game, right? And it's going to set the tone for the rest of the matches that we're going to have today, as they have 2 more matches to go. But Decos, man, that guy is a beast. You got to be careful of where that guy is. You got to make sure that you track him down. I don't know, you got to hit him from different angles or whatever it is, because this guy, if he's going to beat you in a one-on-one fight. So you got to be careful about that. So AKO Legend just really picked it up there. But let's go into the highlights and see what we saw.
And I thought, AKO Legends moving away from Refinery that early on, despite them kind of having the advantage to gatekeep other teams. I thought it was not the best decision, but apparently someone made it work. They just read the circle perfectly. They parked themselves in that house, and it became the best decision they ever made, because they were the only team with a compound. That was, Forestman Expert able to third party 2 teams and get 2 early kills. But I would say SAFs, they didn't do too bad. They were able to survive for pretty long. The push into Forestman Expert was expertly done, although some trips along the way. But Forestman Expert just did not have a solution.
That was like a traditional Kalahari map, right? 10 teams alive at 13 minutes, and then all of a sudden mad chaos where you actually have to have the giant overhead view to see even what's going on, because it's just you know what I mean? There's too many teams to figure everything out. So just very interesting.
What's different is that we saw a really great utilization of the positioning of, especially going into for the SAF. Just because for SAF, they couldn't go in there just because they were just gate kept right now from AKO. And that's why I guess it's for, sorry about it, because with SAF, they've been struggling here so far. And in day 7, I think it's why they don't really go in there for the early rotations into the last circle. They usually are in there very early on, but they don't really get to keep it for this day. I think that's why they keep struggling to really just get the booyah, just because it's not the usual SAF that we really get to see. And usually you get to see them position themselves early on, and we don't see that today.
Well, I think that's something that we also have to take into consideration. The SAF that we saw before, was it just because maybe they were very comfortable in the group that they're in? Now that we've had a little bit of a shuffle, maybe it's that that feeling of the team feeling wonky, right? Because we've changed everything up. They're getting completely different matchups. Just can take a look at the round standings very quickly. AKO at the very top, super happy with their performance, 23 points. They needed this. Something I noticed is I feel that we are really overplaying the whole idea that SAF is underperforming, whereas in reality, this team's doing fantastic still, right? They're gaining so many points off of their matches. Yes, they're not getting booyahs. Yes, they're not crushing their matches, but I don't really think we're going to be seeing SAF fall on the leaderboard anytime soon. But even with today's performance, if they just played like this for the rest of the league, I think they'd be fine. I don't think we're going to see them drop.
Yeah, I think because SAF showed such a good performance, right, that our expectation has been exponentially elevated to the next level. Like if they don't get a booyah, they're underperforming. But I do agree, regardless of what day it is for SAF, we look at the leaderboard that we have access to. I mean, they actually pulled ahead in terms of the point difference, which is a crazy thing, right? The whole underperforming thing, it didn't exist. I would say today they performed way better than they did in week number 3.
Yeah, and it's because they were just on fire, right? In the sense of like all the kills, all the placements, just winning everything left, right, and center, and then all of a sudden they're not. You know what I mean? Like, wait, what is wrong with this team? Like, are they really shaking? But like, I mean, in terms of points, they're still very, very high, definitely above the curve in terms of this league. But it's not the typical SAF level that we see where they just dominate everything. So it's weird to see even AKO Legend outduel them in the end like that.
All right, beefy beef. We are going to be jumping into a very interesting matchup because we have A versus C. So all the teams that are playing in Group B, they're done for the day. We're going to see them again tomorrow. But A versus C, this one's going to be a really exciting one. What do you think we're going to be looking at with the teams competing?
Well, from the performance a while ago from Group A, definitely they've been really just showing it up. Almighty, even Fast Skill, PXG Radicals, Blacklist International, it's just all across the board. And that's what we're seeing, that this might be a little bit of that disconnect and the imbalance, because Group C, AKO Legends, yes, they were able to pull through with this W, but it seemed to be like they are the only diamond here in this very rough group.
Yeah, and with what we saw from Group A, like all of the teams, barring Enigmax, all the other 5 teams in the middle of the pack, but not the worst. I feel like Group A, like early on you pointed out, Holler, Group A probably has the best average score, and I think that they're really showing that. So Group C, they gotta watch out. AKO Legends is not enough. If we're just pinning our hopes on AKO Legends, I feel like it's insufficient to take down Group A.
All right, so it looks like we're going to take a little bit of a break. We'll be right back with Group A versus Group C. Please stay tuned. We'll see you right in 2 seconds.
Do Easy is next on the chopping block, and it seems like Fast Skill and Why they know where Do Easy is. Jembao, oh boy, no, shows his.
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Blacklist International now. Cobra takes Fade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down onto the ground. Cobra needs to be very careful. So 7 HP left, and he goes in for the slice.
So Almighty! And Matrix, at least they need some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now, they're under fire. Fast ULY coming through, Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. The Fast ULY not done yet. Look at that, 11 kills. Bow out, so that's extra points for Matrix. They're gonna be happy with that. AKO Legends gonna be the next one to go down as Ray Miao fights an easy link shot, but he ran. Almighty suffered extra casualties. PXG Radicals now.
SAF, and they don't really have much of a compound here. They have to expend each and every single one of those blue walls. McRory taking those shots, pops his time turner as well. Beautiful nade down. Monarch gets caught off guard, and that bounce off of the tree was absolute perfection from McRory.
Apa kabar, Free Fire? Selamat datang.
Survivors, saya perlukan sokongan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MCP Majors Season 2. We've just finished up our first two series of the day, A versus B and B versus C. But of course, that does leave our final matchup, which is A versus C. And I know we are very excited on the panel, Hauler, because we suspect this is probably going to be the most stacked groups.
Yeah. We're going to see 4 out of 5 Supreme Assault Forces. They're taking a break now. But the other teams in the top 5 are going to be playing. So 4 of those. And I'm actually looking forward to, in terms of like kill potential, right? I think that we're seeing some of the other teams like step it up. And it's been a different start to the second half of the season too.
So before that, we're going to jump into the overall standings very quickly to see where everyone sort of is after these initial matches. Now, just a reminder, because teams in Group B have completed all of their matchups, they're going to be a little bit higher on the leaderboard compared to everyone else, basically, because they haven't played their last 2 matches. So SAF going to be sitting pretty at almost 400 points total. Okay, 400 points. So. Pixie Radicals, aka Legends, Blacklist. I mean, these guys, they still have 2 more matches, but I think this gap's getting bigger, Hauler.
Yeah. I think that gap is going to be very hard. I think it's the fight for second at this point. I mean, that's definitely within... one thing to note, I just noticed this right now. Enigmax, the total is a little bit off. You don't subtract points in this case, and you do add them. So Enigmax is a little bit behind Cannot X-Brain, who has actually stepped up today. We've seen them get some decent amount of kills, and in terms of placement points, they've done well as well.
Absolutely. So at this rate, I think we could all just agree that we're still looking at that race at the bottom to try and get that 12th position, do easy, literally on the edge. But, I mean... do you think Do Easy are going to be able to make it to 12, or do you feel like this team is just going to be the boy on the fence, the guy looking in?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, they got a chance, right? It is never really over. I mean, you have so many, play days left, right? So I don't think that you just give up. All you need to do is just kind of like take baby steps forward, try to get as many kills as possible, just score in the average part. Just understand where you are. As long as you're hitting your average, your points, you want to be consistently growing and just try to catch up slowly but surely to the next person ahead of you.
Insanely stacked group.
I'm going to go with Blacklist International. I've been riding that train today, all day today. I think that it's very difficult for me to get off that one. So I'm going to go with them, and I think that they're going to be very strong this match.
Okay, fair enough. I was quite surprised, actually, because they don't tend to do very well on Bermuda.
I'm going to stick with them. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what, I think that we've only seen 3 maps. I think that they're very consistent on all of them. It's just a matter of getting a little lucky at times. And I think that we're going to see them do all right. Probably top 5. I'm calling it now, but we'll see. I've cursed people before.
We'll see if Blacklist can do it, but for now we're going to throw it over to our casters for our first match of our final series of the day. It is A versus C. Hauler, pass it to our casters, please.
Husky and Beef Mommy, Game 5, A versus C, take it away.
Thank you very much. Just in time. Yes, our wonderful host Hauler and Danley have casted their predictions, and Blacklist International seems to be on top of that list, Beef Mommy. So
Bermuda's going to be a map that can actually go and shine, and AKO as well. doing so well here in Bermuda, so my money would probably be on PXG Radicals just because of how so they've been here so far. So hopefully they actually go in there, get a lot of those points, and it's really interesting to see where they're going to be dropping off right smack dab in the middle. But just right beside them is going to be another squad, and that's going to be troublesome for them. Early engagements this early on, not quite sure if that's going to be a really great thing to do. Might seem to be like PXG might have a hard time here just because it's not going to be an easy mix here, just because EMX is going to be one person, but Slumber is going to be going down.
And PXG Radicals probably one of the worst teams that you don't want to run into when you drop. And PXG Radicals will make quick work of Slumber for sure. And he's not going to be able. He didn't get to play much Free Fire today. You know, always the first one to go down. EMX, not dropping right. You know, they're thanks to Tanamo, and I think the rest of PXG Radicals are gonna go in for the flush. Black, you know, just covering at the corner, but that is most likely gonna be his final resting place. Tanamo is gonna, and Barbara's gonna slice Lonesome into ribbons, and Black, he is not long for the world. Runs out of the building, drops the time turner, and just goes for a bit of a, you know, cat and mice chase. But I think PXG Radicals got this.
Damn, that was just so unfortunate to see. Enigmax is going to be eliminated so early on, and that is honestly no surprise. Enigmax seem to be like they're just going to be the chum from the big fish that basically PXG is just enjoying their time here. So that was a good thing. That was a good drop for them, and the points definitely is needed. So right off the side of Enigmax, they haven't been doing well so far in all of the matches that they've actually been doing. And the fact that they're going to be at the very bottom, that is not a good thing. And we know that definitely a team like that can definitely turn around and really just get a lot of those points, because we've seen that before. We've seen teams really just pull through with all of those points all through, like Argon, and really just getting that booyah is going to be very amazing.
Kind of feels bad, right? Because Enigmax, they I believe they qualify for MCP Season 2 just through in the qualifiers, right? During FFMC, they were known as Enigmax All-Star. Not the best team for sure. They were getting absolutely bullied. And then they had to play all the way to qualify for MCP Major, and still it has not changed the fact that they are the bottom, you know, at the bottom of the leaderboard. So it really shows that this team might have just temporarily hit that glass ceiling, and they're not breaking away from that anytime soon.
Absolutely. And PXG Radicals seem to be like they're at a very great spot right now. The strip is gonna be a great position, especially going into those final circles. And it's very likely that the final zone, you know what? And just as I said, that caster curse, that is not going to be where the circle is gonna be at. Oh, it's gonna be looking good. A really great spot, because it's very just likely statistically that the circle is going to be smack.
Managed to move up the standings a bit more. You know, it's currently sitting in top 8, probably one of the best positions that they've been in a long time. I think even as Divinity at one point being in 8th place feels like a very tall order back in Season 1. This is a step up for Almighty, but we've seen them, you know, go out fast, and we've seen them crash right after that. So hopefully they can show us a bit more consistency in putting on those numbers. A team that has definitely convinced us of that is Fastkill MY. 5th place, still moving up the leaderboard. First they were in 10th, then they closed out week 3 in 6th place, and now they're in 5th place. It can only go upwards from here on out.
Yeah, Fastkill definitely is the team to beat. They've been climbing up the ranks so fast and so deadly. Blacklist International only just 1 point away from them, so that is not going to be very comfortable. And PXG Radicals seem to be like Almighty is going to be their next target, but it's not going to be that easy. They are at a disadvantage just with crazy shots already.
Yeah, but we saw Shira just now playing kind of the lurking. Now he's trying to set up an ambush, and if he gets a drop onto PXG, I think this is gonna open up the entire fight for Almighty. And look at Shira, he's really patient. He's crouched down, and PXG Radicals, they're gonna get distracted by Zev's squad, you know, who is kind of on the southern side and on the northern side. This is going to give Almighty a lot more room to work with, as you can see on the radar that Almighty, they're making a lot of rotations. They're showing a lot of movements. Insanity is going for kind of scouting job with that bike. He's going to be tagged a little bit, but not enough to bring him down. But Almighty has so much room to work with, and Shira finally pops his head out, which means that Almighty, now they got to commit to the fight.
Yeah, this is the fight that they wanted to get, but I'm not quite sure if the best thing to do from Almighty's was to actually go and push, really just giving out that cover. Only one person actually just went in there for the over push, and PXG really wants to win this fight. I feel like in this situation, that was supposed to be their win, but with the side of Almighty, they were supposed to be that third party, but then you know what? They were just like, yeah, we're not going to be taking this spot. You guys go ahead and just kill each other.
Yeah, just way too risky for Zef Squad to be involved in it. And considering the distance and Zef Squad being on the low ground is kind of, you know, not really the best decision to make. But Almighty, they're gonna go in for the push, and Barbara will be challenged by Ren, and of course he will lose it. And Zani now will join the fight alongside Tanamo. He gets some exchange in return, and the trade will definitely come true. PXG Radicals responds in a very adequate manner as they take down Almighty with grace. Jay-Z now on his knees as Batman wants to be that superhero, but the villains are just way stronger compared to the DC Comics, as Batman forced to run away from the villains. PXG Radicals going for the cleanup, but not before Almighty puts up a good fight. Tanamo is down. You see the nade flying through, bounces off the building, but the glue wall, blocks it just in time. PXG Radicals with good response, but Batman comes back in, and they swoop in for a counter engage to wipe out PXG Radicals. Almighty was
telling a while ago, is this a meta? Is the grenade the meta? Yeah, it's always been a meta because it depends on who uses it. You can just throw a grenade at the very wrong time and just waste it, but how these players actually get to utilize that at the very right moment is just absolutely amazing. We keep seeing it again and again, a whole grenade to just get rid of it.
Yeah, and PXG Radicals has such a good start. You know, Almighty were the one who started the fight, and they made it a point to finish it. PXG Radicals with their worst round today, out in 11th place, and I believe only 1 point to their record. It's definitely not going to sit well with them, as it will affect the standings. But cannot brain, they find themselves a challenger running across the bridge underneath, whereas Blacklist International will be stuck in this conflict with AKO Legends, who is desperately trying to make sure that they suffer some damages if they try to go for this rotation. With the danger zone behind them, Blacklist International will be temporarily caught between that building and the greenery outside, and that means that AKO Legend will have a bit more space to work with.
Struggling, but they haven't been struggling a lot. They've always been in that middle of the pack where they do a good job, they don't do a great job, and ITX, they have that a little bit of leeway to actually kind of fool around just a bit, but in ninth place, that's not going to be a little bit comfortable, so they need to really just choose their gunfights, and now yet they have the advantage of being in that high ground. Then speaking of a team that will probably meet up with another squad, it's going to be Zeth versus XBR right now.
They were able to kind of avoid PXG Radicals and Almighty early on, so XBR is definitely a better opponent for them to go up against. But Fastkill and Y, they're up against a more formidable foe, and that is in the form of Wheels. So far, it seems like Fastkill and Y are kind of winning on out in the early skirmishes, as Wheels pretty much spread apart and spread thin. It's gonna be a 2 versus 1 as Limit is completely out of position. So Shark and Ali will slowly pincer in and try to go for the push. Yun does get down off screen though, so they need to kind of trade Limit in return. But so far, it took them a while. Limit still goes down, and at least Fastkill and Y were able to secure that kill. But Wheels on the other, actually, it feels like this time Wheels might not be able to make it out, as Fastkill and Y kind of wipes the floor with them. Wheels still kind of in the game, I believe, but Fastkill and Y just got a better trade.
Yeah, Fastkill MY is such a force to be reckoned with. They've been performing so well here so far, and there's a reason why they're up there, right? That's why they're at the 5th spot. They want blood, and they only need 1 more point to actually overtake Blacklist International and maybe even knock at the doors of AKO Legend. If we don't see AKO Legend perform here, best believe there's going to be 2 squads right there to take their spot. XBR, though, on the other hand, has always been struggling, and Zeth squad has always been in the really bad spot as well, but it just seems like they might win this certain situation. Zeth squad at the 15th spot with 1 Booyah to their name, so it's very doable for them to actually go in there for the clutch, but Guns is not going to be going down without a fight though.
Yeah, this is going to be the last stand for Guns, unfortunately. Surrounded by a bunch of sharks in the form of Zeth squad. All the angles are pretty much covered. Yeah, sure, Guns can stay here for a while longer. The circle still protects him, but not for long. I think Zev Squad wants to get this over and done with and move on with their lives. There's bigger fishes in the sea, and guns is just the appetizer. On the other side, you have Blacklist International completely ignored, completely free.
Probably the best thing that Guns is actually just asking for. He's just waiting for Zeth to be distracted by the zone and for another team to actually pull by. That was supposed to be Blacklist International, but then Blacklist just went in there and really took a U-turn. And that really great read going to the circle early enough is going to be very important. But what we're not seeing right now, Fast Kill yet again gets rid of Almighty. Certain plays of Almighty are already going down. And it's a good thing we're actually get to see that right now. And the nade is going to go in there, that 2F, and they need to go in there, push there as a team. So that's a really great start. Fastkill is actually looking really prime right now.
They are in tip-top condition. This Almighty, they will have no chance of taking this fight with FSK at all. But Forestman Expert on the other side would challenge AKO, and the rain of grenades from the grenade launcher is just making the life of members of AKO so damn hard. Goku comes in from the flank, and the time turner is perfectly utilized. Gets the knock onto Rosso, and I think AKO Legend, they might have a good round in match number 4. But
Legend seem to be like, it's Bermuda, not really quite their map, but Rival gets to take some shots. One squad is going to be right behind them, and Blacklist International is all going to smell some blood as well. Gonna want to get a lot of those kills. Really trying to be that vulture to really pick up a lot of those extra kills for their name. Zeth, on the other hand, is going to be positioning themselves really centered into the circle. Really smart things, just because they've been struggling with the aggression. So the only thing you can do, knowing that you're not going to be winning those gunfights, is to just position yourself well and maybe even engage in the gunfights later on. But then here we go, FSK. It's going to be very hard for them as another squad is going to be right behind them.
And FSKD just running up high ground into Forestman Expert. Ali just loses that CQC, but they are still putting numbers on the board. Yun is down. The shot desperately goes for that revive, but they might have just made a mistake. That blue zone is gonna be the death of them. At least for Shock and Ali, they're definitely out. Monito cannot turn back. The only way is forward. It's going to be him against the rest of Forestman Expert, who are not happy with this intervention. They did not send out an invitation, and Fastkill NY just bust through the door. Now they have to pay the fee, and it's going to be in the form of their life. Forestman Expert did suffer some casualties, but Fastkill NY feels to be on the worser, my English.
Worser.
The
I like that.
Receiving end. I'll just stick with that.
You go inside the door as the bouncer is definitely going to be a little bit strong for them. And that bouncer is definitely going to be Blacklist for them for sure. And there you go, Blacklist International. Phoenix getting that shotgun kill. And that was really... That was basically Fate doing its thing, just really dropping every single one of them, and Blacklist is doing such a solid job. And even though they didn't really do a good job a while ago in Bermuda, they want to change the tides right now.
And Blacklist International, a team that our host, especially Holler, put his money on. It seems like it's paying off once more. The faithful shall always be rewarded. Blacklist International did get one booyah already to start of the day, and the second one is definitely not gonna hurt. The member who's knocked down is going to be brought back up, no problem. UMB makes it into the final circle, but it's going to be Tactical Intact taking up Blacklist International, as Umbrella Reborn will have to deal with Z Squad. It's going to be 2 different fights on 2 different fronts. One in the circle of Z Squad as Type 64 overwhelms Umbrella Reborn, and this time the brain is just too fierce. The droplets will pierce through the umbrella of this team. Zeb Squad also goes down, courtesy to ITX. And here we go, the final showdown between Tactical Intex and Blacklist International. Blacklist gotta go high ground.
Gotta go high ground, and it's a long way to go as the hill is going to be occupied right now by Tactical Index. Seems to be like there's such a strong position right now. Blacklist is gonna have to go in there, really get a lot of those kills, but a lot of those glue walls already going down. One more kill though, ITX, 1 new kill leader already, looking so strong. Tricks, 1 more kill is needed for them. Zipnu as well, 1 more kill for them to finally go in there, and finally with the elimination, ITX. And I'm glad to see it's not the same story over and over, and it's not the same team that's getting these kills. Siad, Hugh, Strix, Zipnu, Leaf, and Yell, a really powerful squad, and that's definitely going to be gathering a lot of points for them, maybe even climbing up to that 8th spot.
I might have jinxed them by the end of week 3, but I definitely did not for week number 4, because they have Maggie instant noodles, and just the smiles on their face. The efforts have finally paid off, and in such a great fashion as well. You know, taking out Blacklist International of all teams. And let's bring back our hosts, Holler and Dana Lee, back onto the broadcast, because I just want to rub it in Holler's face. ITX, they've got a damn booyah.
Is it because of the curry me? Is it? I mean, they were showing it on stream.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
it was
would
definitely
like
very
to
strong.
think so.
All right, but for the record, I was kind of on ITX's train. That was earlier today. But, I did choose Blacklist. I thought that they were going to be very strong. I mean, second place, I'm happy with that. They didn't get the most amount of kills, but just being able to survive as long as they did. But apparently at the end of the day, if you need instant noodles, that's the ultimate power-up, and that will get you the booyahs.
I mean, I can recommend it, dry or cooked. It's up to you. Anyways, back to the game though. I have to say I'm really impressed with the number. We had Zeth Squad, we had Umbrella. I was thinking, are we towards the start of the game or the end of the game? Because normally these teams get eliminated first. But is it because of the shuffle that we're actually starting to see some teams at the lower end of the bracket really be able to make it towards the end?
Definitely feel that it's the shuffle. I think it is starting to show the interaction between different teams, just how the teams play in general puts a lot of, affects the result in a lot of manners, right? Like teams such as ITX and Metrics, who are very opportunistic, they always have this X factor, right? You thought you want to fight, and then as you were trying to recover, they swoop in and they clean you up. We saw that happen to SAF, we saw that happen to Almighty, and now it's Blacklist International. I just feel like this shuffle has done a lot of these teams justice.
Mm-hmm. It's been beneficial for teams. I mean, Zeth getting third place, I don't think we've ever seen them in the top, 3 in almost any match throughout the entire league. So seeing them just kind of rise up to the top like that, they played very well. They got a decent amount of kills as well. But Fast Kill, they continue to bring on the aggression. They got, I think they got 6th in terms of placements. They got like 6 or 7 kills. Fast Kill still managed to get points there, so they're very strong. But the AKO Legends going out in 9th place, not like an actual legend there. That was a pretty poor performance from them. But that does happen in terms of the shakeups. Teams are in different places.
Though I am very impressed with what I saw from this squad, and maybe they didn't really get to place themselves a little bit high, but they definitely gave out a really hard time for a lot of these teams. Almighty also showed up, a lot of kills as well, really giving a lot of teams a really hard time, really just picking a lot of squads in and out. Wheels really just went in there, and very unfortunate to see them really go out very, very early. Blacklist International, even though they didn't win, they showed up, and especially from their poor performance a while ago in Bermuda, they definitely got to turn around that 180.
Now we're going to be in for a bit of a map change here. Now from Bermuda, we go to Kalahari, my favorite, and a lovely way to end the day as well. You got to give them that really tough map. A lot of teams, I want to say complain, but I think the statement is true for a lot of people. They hate Kalahari. It's a really tough map. Sometimes it can be wonky. You have to worry about the elevation, the lack of cover. The general playstyle for Kalahari is just way different compared to Bermuda. Are there any teams in these two groups that you feel are going to get stumped by Kalahari?
Kind of looking at... Good question. I actually don't know. I actually don't know... other than, Cannot Brain and Umber Reborn, like the lower category of teams, I feel like everyone else probably has an equal chance. I know I said this in round 2 and Blacklist ended up winning, but I still feel like there's no standout team. I think everyone has a pretty equal opportunity to just win the round Kalahari.
I'm going to go with AKO Legend. I think that they're going to have... I mean, they got the Booyah in a bad game in match 5, so I feel like they're going to step it up for this one. I expect big things out of AKO Legend going into match 6.
Beef, I'm not sure if you have the numbers open. Do you have any numbers for Kalahari for us?
Oh, I don't really get to have to see the numbers quite yet, but from Blacklist International, like what you've been saying, they've been really strong here so far. But another team that has been a little bit impressive here as well I know they haven't been showing up here, but Kalahari in other days and other weeks, they've been really just showing up and really gathering a lot of those kills. But it's another day today. It seems like the tides have changed. The Goliaths, for some reason, are going to be the Davids. And I really like to see these lower tier teams really just step it up, because just from that game, Tactical Intex actually rose up 3 notches. So I'm really excited to see how this final matchup is going to pull through.
Actually, speaking of, I do want to see it after this game. So was it only Tactical Intex that really climbed, or were there any other teams that may have went up a couple notches?
From what I actually saw, it was just Tactical Intex, but I think Almighty went...
Have lesser placement points compared to Wheels. They actually tied with Wheels in 8th and 9th points, like 235. Tactical Intex is the most notable one, who went up to 7th place, I believe from 10th place or from 9th place. But my eyes was definitely, other than ITX, I think Forestman Expert, not Forestman, Almighty did a pretty good job, bro. Even though right now they actually went down in terms of placement points, but the fact that they were able to pull such a good radicals was enough to convince me that they probably figure out some solutions to their earlier struggles, especially Batman, right? A guy that is regarded one of the best sniper players, has been struggling a lot when it comes to CQC. I think he's stepping up a lot. He's kind of expanding his diversity in terms of arsenal. He's no longer just a sniper. He can now get into the thick of things and do the dirty work himself.
All right, we're going to go into match 6 very soon. But before we do, we see that AKO Legend was, I think, 287 points in 3rd place. Blacklist was 4th place with 281 points. But Beef Mommy, between these two teams, which is like... This is the team. This is the team that's going to take over. I expect
to be Kalahari, and we already know that Blacklist really loves this map. So hopefully we get to see one more Booyah right now for the side of Blacklist, because if they do get to win this, they might actually be able to overtake PXG Radicals, just because there's only like, I think 4 points left for them to actually go and overtake them. So hopefully we get to see that. AKO Legend, though, they still have sort of like a little bit of scores to go to actually go in there, but it's definitely very doable just because they had a Booyah a while ago as well.
AKO Legend felt like they're having a hot and cold date, right? It's like the Katy Perry song. You know, the first game that they play is pretty cold, and then they had a Booyah, and then afterwards, in the previous round, they also kind of fell up pretty early. Following that trend, perhaps this might be the chance, but I'm definitely not going to count Blacklist International out. Regardless of how they perform on Kalahari for the past few weeks, this is still, at the end of the day, one of the best maps. So regardless, I think they will have an advantage in that sense.
Wait. If you're going to say AKO Legends is like the Katy Perry song, then what is Blacklist International? What is their theme song then, in terms of their play style? If you had to just put it... Like, if you just had to give them something, like, you know what I mean? Like, we gotta give every team a song, right? I think that's the way we need to do it moving forward.
Stay alive. No, seriously, I think that's it. I'm very sure that I think this has happened in the past. I mean, we won't know this because we don't get access to team comms, but I'm very sure there's one team out there, right? They're praying. We've got to get the Booyah, guys. They're just singing this song, trying to survive.
It could be. I think it applies to every single team. Like, let's say you drop and then you lose like 3 guys, and you have to play the next 20 minutes going to be the longest 20 minutes of your life, right? Because you're just avoiding. You hear gunshots, you get PTSD, you just hide in the corner, and you don't, just don't let them find me. So I am pretty sure that every single team has been in that situation. Blacklist International in particular, I don't remember seeing them, being picked off too often. They are a team that sticks together a lot, so that's definitely a plus point.
Yeah, I think they like the group play, right? I think it tends to play to their strength of just kind of going in together like a SWAT team. There's a lot of hand holding in that sense, but at the same time they're kind of prone to AOE effects, like grenades and all that. So it's kind of hit or miss depending on how they proceed. But I've been very impressed with just how they play and how coordinated they are. So I think it's going to be a little bit more, I don't know, staying alive.
I was thinking to say.
Look at all these Katy Perry songs.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Which team is a Katy Perry song? Leave it in the comments right below, guys. Which teams you think is a Katy Perry song for each of these squads?
I mean, you can easily say that with Fast QMY's performance in the few games since week number 3, they could easily be fireworks. You know, they shot up from 10th place to 5th. So yeah, that could be one as well.
All right.
Oh god.
I think I need to just Google
one.
up like the entire song list of Katy Perry so that we can make sure.
Okay,
We got
hang
a
on.
dark horse. Oh,
No,
sorry,
no.
Danny.
I'm just waiting to see like who would qualify for the one that got away.
Oh,
that's a good one.
who do we feel is a team that's sort of fallen off, right?
I have one. For me, definitely is PXG Radicals. They, especially with that last round, and especially that they're going to be in that second spot, and they might lose that. They're definitely the ones that got away. And you know what? I'm blaming you here, Holler, for opening this Pandora's box.
Like feeding off everybody else, chained to the rhythm.
I was gonna say, what's that Katy Perry song? The one with like all the candy? Because I feel like at this rate, they've just been eating everyone
California
as if
Girls.
they're like
That's
a kid
me right now.
What is it?
California Girls.
California Girls.
I swear that's them. Like, they're just feeding off of everyone. It's like a kid in a candy shop. They just take whatever the heck they want, and they can get away with it. I mean, who's gonna stop them? No?
Yeah, fair enough.
I see very confused
yeah.
faces. Okay, I'm on my own.
Because I have to admit, I have not heard that song before.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what is the team that might be dropping out of the top 12? And to Katy Perry song, Not the End of the World, what is that team?
Do easy.
Do Easy?
Yeah.
Do
That they're
Easy.
kind of
Do
fighting for it?
Easy.
Okay. I like it.
I can definitely get behind that, right? They're so close. They are so close. I mean, they're done for the day, but there were a couple of occasions where Do Easy came really close, and that one game that they had to win to overtake the 12th spot team, they will flunk that round, and then we're back to square one. And suddenly, Do Easy will have this big gap. Well, not really a big gap, but like I don't know if I want to say Forex Man Expert. I feel like they are. I feel like it's fitting for them since just because they are the new kids on the block, right? Their first appearance was FFMC, and then they come into MCP season 2, and they are now in 6th place. I feel like they might be one of the dark horses in top 12.
Mm-hmm. All right, and
Beef,
then...
wait, Beef, did you have something else? Because I saw your facial expression, and I feel like you don't totally agree.
I mean, yeah, I feel like they're the dark horses here for me, I guess. Would definitely be Argon, just because of that. I think it was like 5 tiers going up from the 18th spot, just slowly going up, and maybe even having a grasp of breaking into that top 10. I feel like I'm really just rooting for them. They finally got their booyah today, so that's definitely a win. And yes, it doesn't really get to qualify. It doesn't really get to compare to what SAF actually has, but definitely it's really impressive for me to see really just Argon pull through today.
All right, so I think that it looks like the map is being loaded now. This is going to be match 6. I think we went through almost all of the Katy Perry songs, but Husky and Beef Mommy.
Her name, but finally, this is going to be our final map, and for sure, all of these teams really want to get that W, especially for the teams that really just need to get one here today.
Yeah, and I feel like the teams, if there's one team that needs a booyah, I think that team has to be Almighty. They are so close. I mean, they're tied with Views. Again, they're losing out in terms of placement points. Just a 6-point difference. But overall, 235 is the magical number for these two teams. And whichever team is knocked out earlier will have to settle for 9th place by the end of the day. But Zev Squad Monarch once more finds himself in a horrible spot. This time, it's going to fall in the hands of Umbrella Reborn, and it does not seem like there's going to be anyone nearby to save him. So, I can safely say that the Monarchy has fallen for Zev Squad.
Umbrella Reborn already with a really strong start, and that's really great to see, just because from the last round we actually get to view that they were probably, I think, the top 4 squad that really just made it into the last round. And like what I think it was Danny who said it a while ago, it was the bottom squad that you really just thought would be gone out so early. They are the ones that...
Absolutely. And most importantly, I think it's... Sometimes it brings joy to me to see like these teams kind of at the lower end of the leaderboard start showing up, because it really messes up the standings, right? If you're the front runners, you want to maintain that position. But every once in a while, these teams, Zep Squad, Unbetter Reborn, they're gonna show up out of nowhere and they're gonna take you out. They ruin your standings. You just like to be that guy that trashes the ceremony, the party, and just screw everyone up. And in this case, if I can see Zep Squad somehow ruin the game for PXG Radicals or any other front runners, I think Zep Squad's gonna be happy, and
I would want to sabotage a win and the points from other teams as well. So it's the name. That's a competition right now. But speaking of a competition, we see 4 X-Men here trying to pick a fight right now from Fast Kill MY. Not quite sure if that's going to be the best team to actually go and challenge, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, and Fast Kill MY so far not really having the best area. This is gonna be mammoth, and if you want to hide within the ribcage of this big creature, you best believe that you're gonna get shot, because there's just way too much open ground. In fact, look at what 4X-Men Expert is doing. Spade is already running on that bone structure just to gather information for his team. They're swarming in from all sides, and Fast Kill MY, the only way to get out of this safely is to take out 4X-Men Expert. There's no avoiding this confrontation.
Yeah, there's really no way that, because they are surrounded right now on all fours. They're going to be surrounded, and it's going to be very hard for them to really get out of here. The only way for them to actually go here is to maybe have that sniper and really just have a pick. But then with one person down already, that's going to be very...
Oh, Yun, but Yun wins out in 1 versus 2, so Rybet's going to be challenger number 3, and he also goes down. Oh, Yun single-handedly host the fort and 4X-Men Expert, right? They have everyone surrounded, but they might have just botched this entire operation, because now they are just down to Goku and Fast Kill MY. It's gonna be an advantageous fight for them. The tides have turned, the pendulum swings, and it's now a 2 versus 1 in favor of Fast Kill. They're going in for the last kill. Goku, with the time turner, is gonna stay alive for a bit more, but this fight is pretty much donezo. He has to run.
Goku missing those essential shots, and those were supposed to be easy shots, and that is not going to be good for him as his health is dwindling down. So are his chances of actually placing high. There you go. Finally, Shark makes it out of the tank and really gives him a bite of what it feels like to be the bottom team. Really from Fast Kill, and that was supposed to be their win, but it's just Yoon with a denial with that triple kill is just absolutely amazing. And this is what I like about Free Fire. It just takes ruin your day and ruin your chances to actually go in there and make it into the final rounds of the game.
And of course, 4X-Men Expert makes the grave mistake of trickling into a fight, right? It was essentially a kind of a 3 versus 1 when they took went up against Yoon, but he just want to go in as an individual challenger, and Yoon just has that shotgun that really shut them down. So bit of a bad decision making from the side of 4X-Men Expert, really costing them that round, getting shot at. And it's gonna be from XBR, Blacklist International from Bayfront, also gonna join in the party.
Will's going to be able to actually get a really nice hold right now of XBR. They have a nice view for them to actually go in for the kill, but how much they can actually do it so fast, not quite sure, because there's one squad that's going to be right above them, so they need to be smart with this, and they need to be fast. And that's the thing that we've seen here for Wills, is the lack of that aggression that we usually like to see. And this is the dilemma right now for Wills, is that Embalor is usually the person that pops off, and the only reason why they would actually get a booyah was if Embalor felt like it that day. So everyone else from his team actually needs to go and step it up. It can't just be that one-man show. There's a reason why this is a team thing, right? So they need to go in for aggression.
Yeah, and that has always been the problem with Views, right? Sometimes we see them go aggressive, sometimes they just play the most passive game we've ever seen. I think the identity of Views kind of changes, every now and then, and not in a good way. It's not Wheels improving over time. It's more of just Wheels trying to shift their gameplay, but both those styles kind of resulted in the same outcome, something that Wheels need to work on. And I completely agree, Ember Lore and Alforte, those two.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really not what it should be. And for all of these teams that actually have been struggling, really need to go and work on their communication already as a team. So Yoon already having 3 kills to his name, so that's a good thing. They really did a very good start, but they're going to be lagging behind just because they're going to be only 2 people. So this is probably the best thing that they can do right now, just because everyone else is already in the zone, so they don't have to worry about having a lot of those gunfights. So they're going to be very passive just because there's only 2 people left here. And speaking of a full squad that might actually stop everyone on their tracks, Almighty seem to be like, they always do good in the early game, but always just let it go here on the late game.
Yeah, and Almighty kind of falling back to what they are good at. Just playing, laying low, making sure that they're off the radar and then showing up in the final few phases. But one thing they have improved, even though they still have this very defined playstyle, is that they are willing to take those fights. QCs. PXG, on the other hand, will find themselves at the mercy of Almighty because Insanity is gone. Raymiao is going to be the second one to follow.
Can't really go in and just exit out. And that's the reason why you need to position yourself so smartly going into a certain place. And don't be like PXG in that situation where it's basically nowhere to go. So, and it's just the fact that they're also away from each other, and if you are going to be only just 2 members left, you need to stick together because that's the only way you can actually go and win a fight. Almighty, on the other hand, seem to be like they want to finally put an end into XBR, throws that grenade, got God Grenade, but doesn't really quite do anything. And this is basically the demise already for XBR, because once you go into that tower, that little tower over there, it's basically game over for you, and that seems to be like they want to have a slice of the pie.
Yeah, and XBR, I mean, that is the worst spot to be in, especially when your opponents have sufficient grenades. Batman has 3 more, and he's just gonna use it in the least generous way to try and take out both members of XBR. It's a matter of time before they're out. But so far, Batman has to train your 3-pointers. Yeah, got it. 7 grenades, I believe, but the last one connects, and that's all that matters. They wipe out Cannot Brain. Almighty bagging 5 points so far.
Killing spree.
And seems like so far, I think Almighty, they... yeah. PSG, look on the horizon. Almighty, they have to kind of get into the circle right now. UAV being deployed. But PSG Radicals, they aren't with the full squad.
Themselves early enough, and they always get gatekept. Yes, they always have a really strong start, but it's always going to be in that end game that they really just struggle with. So the fact that they're moving on right now is going to be very nice. But PXG Radicals, one more person's actually going to be down over there. Blacklist International as well. So it's gonna be a tricky spot just because there's so many squads already left and right, and they're going to be always into that late rotation. So that's why they always just pay the price. And yes, it's going to be enough for them to maybe just stay into the top 10, but if they want to move past that, they need to really learn from SAF, learn from Blacklist into playing here in Kalahari, and you can see early rotations going in there.
And the PXG Radicals, because they made the early, they made a slight rotation just now from the of Almighty. They've split themselves up, and it's gonna be Blacklist International separating those 2 remaining survivors. Not good for PHE Radicals at all. The positioning just gets more and more worse for them. AKO Legend, though, having control at the corner of Refinery, they will find themselves staring off against UMB, but Taken's gonna be the first one to go down thanks to error from that low ground, somehow getting their shot off. This is gonna give UMB some space to work with.
Very great spot to be in, and it's always going to be Refinery over here. Now, there you go, Fast Kill MY already eliminated as ITX. Tactical Intex, as per usual, going in there really aggressively. Umbrella, though, especially with that situation where you're going to be right there, kind of like a cheese in a trap, right? And they're gonna have a very hard time for them to actually go in there. It's AKO yet again, hopefully getting those kills, but I'm pretty surprised I'm not actually getting those kills. Umbrella's still alive here. I'm not quite sure why that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's going to be Wheels that gets the knock onto Umbrella Reborn. Both Alforte and Balor getting one respectively. Limit's gonna be down, but he's not out just yet. I think they've stirred the hornet's nest. You know, you want to steal food away from the Tigers, you best believe that they're gonna try and chase you down and fight you. But Wheels, they don't care. In fact, they back 4 for themselves. And AKO also suffered some casualties. Wheels, they're the biggest winner. They are the gatekeepers. You want to get past the street, you gotta pay the fine. And unfortunately, the fine is in terms of your life. Wheels getting themselves 5 free kills. And they also take out UMB.
UMB so early. Embalor popping off. This is what we keep saying. Once you see Embalor is actually gonna get a chance to really win that, and they are in prime position. They basically paid the people up top, hey, you know what, we want this land, we're gonna keep it, we're gonna build a condo here, we're gonna see everyone kill each other right there. Blacklist International going down one by one. Surprisingly, Phoenix yet again the only person left for his team to actually go in there as a glimmer of hope.
And look at there's 3 teams left. You have Almighty, Blacklist International, and Wills. But just like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, I think Wills have the high ground. And so far, they're making it work. Shira gets his head popped off as Embalor puts a bullet through his skull. Not having a good time, and this is the perfect area. How are any of these guys ever gonna challenge Wills? They're just gonna play on the low ground. Just Wills felt like the Emperor staring down at a bunch of peasants as these guys starved to death, getting burned by the blue zone. Wills just needs to wait it out, and they know exactly where Almighty and Blacks International are. It's a matter of time until they get that win, but Forte is gonna he's gonna fall and knock himself out.
That is just unfortunate, but they still have 3 people left here in the mix. 3 squads to just win it all. Almighty also have 3 to their name, but then Embalor and Ayokshin, and just like that, we're gonna be seeing Wills already going in there for the win. And it's not really that surprising because their positioning a while ago was the reason why they're in here in the first place.
Oh my goodness, it came down to the wire. The circle decided to take fate into his own hands because Embalor, he went down the same time as the last guy from Blacks International, but I think Embalor managed to kill him off before he died. Just a split second made the difference. Wills finally getting that booyah to close off the day, and they definitely stepped up. What a great performance from this team. They definitely needed that, and that was the tiebreaker that we've been looking for, right? They were, tied with Almighty. They were tied at 235, but just a matter of seconds gave Wills that upper hand. I'm gonna bring back our hosts, Holler and Dana Lee, because this is truly a spectacular finish to day number 8.
I loved Will's positioning as well because they were basically just sitting in the circle as the final boss, as everyone was like fighting to get to that circle. And then as soon as it came
top, Embalor living up to his alias of Embalord, and he had about 8 kills. He matches his highest total from I think day 2. But man, that guy really stepped up. He was just shooting them. He's an amazing sniper from the top, and to just kind of keep with the whole Katy Perry thing, I think that we saw Woos really rise up to the top. There we go. Boom, that's another one. So I think we're kind of allocating all the different teams with the Katy Perry song, and we'll have the rest probably till going into tomorrow as well.
You really had to bring in Katy Perry yet again, of course. That was absolutely crazy. Imagine the boss music that these guys heard, Almighty and Blacklist, was actually a Katy Perry song. Absolutely formidable. That's going to be intense Katy Perry music songs right there. But again, Embalor with absolutely just popping off. And this is the trend that we keep seeing and we keep mentioning over and over again. The moment that Embalor pops off with the 4 kills, everyone else was 0. There was like, you know what, that's it, they're gonna win it, just because Embalor is just going to be that guy to just guide his team for that booyah.
Yeah, and that's what true leaders do, right? They lead by example, and they also make sure that they're consistent. I think that that steroid injection, right? He gets the right conditions, everyone else comes online. Well, technically he comes online, and then he just carries everyone on his shoulders.
Now, I know that the matches today were very important for these teams. And the main reason being is that this was their introductory week to their new groups. So the teams they have a feel of all the groups. I mean, they've played with all these teams before, but now you get completely different dynamics because different teams are going to be permanently matched up with different teams. Do you feel like there are, so far, any teams that you think are just sitting in their group and thinking, wow, I hit the jackpot?
I want to say SAF, but seems like today is not the day, Sometimes you're just not lucky. You can be the luckiest person in the world, but you can also have the day where you go into the casino and you just lose everything. I think Saf, not off to a good, well, when I say good, not off the perfect day one start in this new bracket, but overall, I feel like they would still feel as if they've hit the jackpot simply because of the teams they are matched up against with. Just a matter of time before they find the strike once more.
For me, I kind of felt like it was the shakeup has been good in terms of just like spreading the wealth in terms of player, but I think it was probably one of the most diverse, at least in terms of winners, of all the play days that we've had so far. It's been a good change up. And Beef, what are your thoughts on that?
You're absolutely right. And I like to see the change in pace. And the fact that the shuffle was the reason for that, there's a reason why. There's a lot of things going on. And the fact that not one team won a Booyah twice is so great to see. We like to have the change of pace, a change of story, and the fact that the people on top aren't going to be, you know, having a really great run, and people from the bottom really just going up and up and up. And I really want to see the overall standings and really see how we actually get to have a lot of those things really go through here.
Now, of course, we do still have another play day tomorrow, so every team's going to be able to slot in another four, like the group of death. Whatever group ends up with this one, they just think, oh god, this group.
I think Group A is definitely the group of death. You know, again, barring Enigma Max, every other team in that group is just monstrous. This is why they have the highest average total average scores out of all the 6 teams. So I feel like Group A is definitely the hardest group for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Group B is probably second in that case, just because I feel like their kills, the fact that they can get kills, will keep them consistently high in terms of scoring points. And I feel like just, you know, when you have SAF, who's just like this monster, you're definitely going to just kind of increase that average, so to speak.
Yeah, same thing here. I think Group A is definitely top 1, Group B top 2, and Group C is going to be that 3rd spot. But as we see, a lot of these matches, they're pretty even. So I think going in there tomorrow, it might be a different case. I really want to see it go down differently. And probably, I think the group that might topple down Group A could most likely be, I don't know, I feel like Group C. Because I like what I saw from Tactical Intex and from AKO Legend. Really great start. I think for the side of X-Men Expert, they just need to find their footing, but they've seen glimmers of hope. And you know what? One more team I think is going to be that dark horse here, Umbrella Reborn. They were
right, you know, top 5, I believe, for both of them, top 3 and 3rd place and 5th place. So like, which of these 2 teams are you more worried about? Let's throw this one to you, Husky.
Wait, so well, you was
AKO and 4X-Men.
Okay, AKO and 4X-Men. I'm more worried. I feel like I'm more worried about 4X-Men Expert compared to AKO Legend. Just based off of the standings, right? AKO Legend is still ahead of 4X-Men Expert, and I feel like AKO Legend are a bit more composed when push comes to shove. You know, like 4X-Men Expert, early on, we saw them take on Fastq and Y. They had such a good lead. They had probably, like, they ticked everything in the box. That was an unlosable fight, and they lost it just because they made one poor decision. So that really gets me worried. You know, what happens if it's between life and death? They might just make a fatal mistake.
Now, of course, we've got the overall standings for today, and my oh my, are we looking at a little bit of a change here. So SAF, we're going to ignore them. I think maybe for the rest of the tournament, because I don't think these guys are going to move. But second place, we've got Blacklist International sitting at 309 points, just 4 points over PXG Radicals. But I think this is such a good sign for people that are cheering for Blacklist, because I think it's
that they've had just in the past couple of days have increased. I mean, they had 36, 41, and then whatever today is going to end up being. I don't know that exact total offhand, but you know, they're on the rise. They've done quite well. They've made sure that, hey, even with only 3 booyahs at this stage, getting all of those other points, that is no small feat in and of itself.
Yeah, and I never thought I would see the day where Bloody Hit is ahead of Freedom Rumble at any point of the league stage when it comes to the standings, right? They are ahead in 10th place, only 4 points ahead of Freedom Rumble. But the fact that Freedom Rumble is in this position really shows a lot about how other teams are improving. And Freedom Rumble, they're starting to lose a bit of steam. Fast QNY overtook them by a mile from 10th to 5th place. For Iceman Expert in 6th, then you have Vils, ITX, and even Almighty, a team that Freedom Rumble had no problem dealing with in the first 3 weeks, they're now ahead. So I don't know what's going on with FRU, but they have to start getting pretty worried about where they are right now.
I was actually gonna ask what happened to FRU, but I'm not gonna ask you because by the wind. What do you think happened?
I think it's more of like a mental state. Right? Like, oh, we're kind of losing. We're not doing as well. And it kind of like wears on you, right? Like those are the moments where you need to take a timeout, talk to like the team, just make sure that you talk it up and be like, hey, we're not doing something right. We need to improve, right? We got to change it up so that things are of a more positive outlook. You know what I mean? If you're constantly negative and you're like, oh, we keep losing, you're just going to have this downward spiral and it just kind of just takes you down, right? It's going to just kind of like, I would say, never really over.
At the end of the stream, so do share it with your friends, your family, whoever plays Free Fire that pass the code to them. It's lovely free stuff from us to you. Also, thank you so much, all of you, for tuning into the broadcast. We're going to be back tomorrow. That's it. We're not gone forever, okay? This is a weekly thing. We're going to keep on going, and if you are cheering for some of these teams, come back tomorrow. Send them your energy, because I think some of them, it feels like they're going to need a little more energy tomorrow than they did today, because we definitely had some teams underperform compared to what we're used to seeing. But it's the end of the day for us. Do we have any final words for some of these teams?
Ooh, I want to go.
Can't wait to see what tomorrow brings. I'm gonna finally take my attention off of SAF just for a while, and I want to look at other teams. ITX, that's the team I'm looking at. They did well today. They got a booyah, so I don't see why not. Why can't they perform tomorrow? I think they have a good shot.
Yeah, absolutely. You have such a good point there. And Holler, I kind of want to stop you there, because I really like what you said a while ago about all of these teams, how they need to be 3 C's, calm, cool, collected, because a lot of people don't really get to view how you are a professional player. Yes, you get to do a lot of plays, but it's in those situations where you are at a very bad situation where you're going to be placing yourself in. It's a very bad spot to be in. The pressure on your shoulders to really just deliver with hundreds of thousands of people watching you. To have that professionalism is definitely something that a lot of these teams still need to sort of master, and that'll bring you a long way. So yeah, that's a really good thing that we got to see today.
And I think the teams are going to be wide awake, just kind of moving forward. That's another song, by the way. As they kind of move into this is going to be the second half of this season. It's going to be pretty crazy. I think the teams have really picked it up. I think it's been a difference in terms of season, at least the first half of the second half. I regret nothing.
Oh my god, did I get muted? God damn it. Wait, did my mic die again? It's fine. It's fine. It's good enough.
Yeah,
it's good enough. It's
good.
It's honestly good.
All right, just because we're going to keep this going. We're going to...
on the chopping block. And it seems like Fasco and White, they know where Do Easy is. Jembao, oh boy, no, shows his...
I'm just torn in between, man. I want both of those squads to get the best out of the equation. Blacklist International now. Cobra takes Spade out of the equation, or to the very least knocks him down onto the ground. Cobra needs to be very careful. So 7 HP left, and he goes in for the slice.
South Almighty! And Matrix, at least they do some damage, but it might be enough. Matrix now, they're under fire. Fasco and White coming through. Almighty chipping in. Matrix will go down eventually as they took a very unfavorable fight. But Fasco and White not done yet. Look at that, 11 kills. Bow also this extra